Leave it to the professionals.
Last by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Bodie.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. Had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCon, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below. Then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. The carousel's also up there if you missed any shows earlier this week, including the first half of ApeCon yesterday. That's also pinned up top. We're also live over in the YouTube streets as well as Abstract, the best GMers hit for the cycle there this morning. We really appreciate the love and support. And as always, I'm Cap Jim. I'm my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice in the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins exceptionally risky, and go to zero to moment's notice. Content coins are just freaking dumb. Please don't ever put any money in you can't afford to lose. And know that Steve and I likely hold tokens we talk about from time to time, except for those content coins, which we both think are just absolutely ridiculous. So with that out of the way, join us for some fun, some information, some education along the way. And Steve, GM, sir, how you doing?
GM, Cap, I can't tell if you have an opinion on content coins. You haven't made it very clear. I put something out this morning I will talk about a little bit here. I'm sure this will be in part of our cold open again.
I feel as a content creator, I am at least my opinion is noteworthy. At least it may not be the end all be all, but I feel like for someone back, like, oh, this is the best thing for content. No, this is dumb. Content creators think this is dumb. Find me a content creator that think this is actually like, I'm not going to be, it's just dumb, man. I don't even know what to talk about. It's just so stupid.
It's, well, let's get some GMs out there. Give us a like, a retweet, a comment in the room. Had a successful ApeCon yesterday. GM Von Frunten, GM Mel, finding your way to the X chat. Doomers, Von fronting all over all of the channels. Dort all over all the channels. Dort is a content creator on our channels. He should release a coin for that. Mesh GM, teacher Katie, Thomas, good to see you in there. Appreciate the reply this morning. Be epic. I'll reply to it when I get a chance, as we're live on the show this morning. GM to all the people in the X chat as well, as I pull that sucker up now. GM to Zane, GM to Dobbins, GM Maria, GM Joey Vowles, Dwayne, Bordo Saka, good to see you out there this morning as always. General Wags never misses, Diablito, Mars, Kazi, screenwriter Dave Kapow, Clay, Brick It All of our friends out there getting it done this morning. Thanks for coming up. Like, retweet, comment on the room. I'm sure slow Fridays. I'm starting off a little slower. I had ChatGPT tell me that I didn't do blind spots. One of them was I don't celebrate wins enough. Not exactly a blind spot. I'm pretty well aware of that one, but decided yesterday we had a nice ApeCon. Things went pretty well, so went out, had some Mexican food and some margaritas. So dragging a little this morning, as I mentioned. The day after drinking is always a little bit worse for me as I get older into my advanced age and creep towards 42 in June this year. So, but no, yeah, I mean, again, like, retweet, comment on the room. We got To the Moon's cards coming up at 9 a.m. Some friends over there, Teager and J-Rob, talking about a pretty good deal they just struck, potentially Orange Cap games from Pudgy as well, which would be pretty cool. And Cap, I mean, I know we have like a lot to get into, and it's just, I'm struggling this morning with the content coins. I'll probably redo revisit this tweet or reread it at another time just to make sure I'm not just to make sure, like, I know we'll get the room warmed up and we're at like 52 people. But I mean, I'm coming in a little hot this morning. I am struggling. Coinbase has the single greatest opportunity potentially to onboard the masses, like certainly in the United States. And it's content coins and arguments on X. And I don't understand why the group that has the chance to advance the narrative is further pushing us into crypto as a speculative casino with no real value. Like, and maybe I'm just the idiot. Yesterday we have all these wholesome pitches on ApeCon. We have 5 finalists who are all building real world value on chain. I don't know. General Wags, by the way, appreciate the chat. I spent yesterday. I am spent from yesterday, and I wasn't hosting. You did well. Maybe I'm crazy, but like, and maybe I'm wrong that like, and we just are this ridiculous speculative casino, and that's all crypto is at this point. Like yesterday kind of pulled me out of it a little bit because I've been feeling like a little down at times about things.
I think this is exactly, but I think this is why I'm frustrated. Like, I don't care what people do in crypto. Feel free to experiment. That goes for like 99.9% of the people in this space. There's a few people I don't think should be doing dumb shit just as an experiment on chain. And it's people like the leaders of Base, who is positioned to actually bring more credibility and onboard 1 billion users. Like, guess what? Most of those billion users you want to onboard, they are really turned off by this shit. They have no interest in content coins. And oh, by the way, you've also managed to alienate now, I don't know, half of the actual crypto native space that think this is also dumb. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, Base is in the best position to do stuff like what we did yesterday. They just have, 100x the reach of us, but yet instead they're promoting freaking content coins. Come on. What are we doing here? I'm not even kidding. Like, if this thing takes off and this is like the next meta, I don't think it will, because I think there's so many people that just think this is the stupidest thing ever. But if this is next meta, it's probably the first thing that'll cause me to reevaluate if this is the right space for me. Because it feels like a giant step backwards because of who it's coming from. And maybe we shouldn't put people on a pedestal. If not Base, who the hell else is in position to really onboard? Who has a top of funnel? Who has an embedded millions of customers in an embedded customer base that are just looking for a reason to come on chain? It's really disappointing because of the source, not the thing.
Well, I think you kind of nailed what frustrates me is that, like, we did like 8 to 10,000 people yesterday in total viewership across the
First of all,
across the brand.
shout out to everyone who restreamed and shared, because if we count in all that stuff, it was way over 10,000 people tuned in yesterday. I saw like, Blue Eyed Queen's restream and Legendary's restream. Like several people restreamed the show and garnered thousands of views on their own end. So yeah, really appreciate all the support getting the word out there yesterday. And I think we jumped right into it this morning without any reflection. But just people saying there, like, it was a great day yesterday. I really had a good time. It was taxing, but those are like really enjoyable days for me. The longest I've ever been on video for a continuous period of time. And my dog was happy when it was over, but it was just truly enjoyable day. So greatly appreciate everyone who tuned in, everyone who participated. It was it was really refreshing to hear from so many builders when, unfortunately, the things we've been talking about on the show lately aren't necessarily things that really get Steve and I excited. And I don't think many of you. Yesterday, there was a lot of things that got me excited about the future of the space.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's like yesterday I felt really good. Like you said, like I like that sort of stuff. It is exhausting. It's taxing. It has a lot of prep work beforehand. There's a lot of scheduling, a lot of timing, getting judges. I need to send out some thank you notes still because I just haven't had a chance. Because yesterday I just kind of like, I more or less turned off. We finished the stream. I headed out. I played a
the stream was over.
Oh, you know exactly what I do when the stream was over. But no, I enjoyed some of our favorite flour. I played a little NCAA. My wife got home. My daughter has a cooking class she goes to, and instead of like, my wife, we have this situation with this other group of friends where they have two girls and we have one girl, and our two girls go to cooking on Thursday, and the younger girl and my daughter go to gymnastics on Wednesday. And so my wife and the other parents, they swap driving as you do sometimes, like sort of the carpool theory, like, hey, we'll drive one night, you drive the other night. So Thursday, our night to drive. And instead of, hanging out at home with my son and the dogs, my son, me, we got in the car and we all drove them to cooking, dropped them off, grabbed some Mexican food, had a margarita flight. I'll have to post a video of the margarita flight. Actually, I'm going to post it in the comments here. And I'll show it in a second, but they had like this dry ice presentation with it, which was pretty cool. So that was nice. I'll share it and you can see it in the chat. But I basically had a margarita flight yesterday with Dawn, and then had a big plate of Mexican food, came home. I don't know if I'll ever eat again, although I have a friend in town who I'm probably gonna here, I'll pin it to the top if people want to see it. Actually, I won't pin it to the top. I don't want to pin over Vanga, but if you look in the chat, you can see my margarita flight and the dry ice ification of my margarita flight. But yeah, no, I celebrated the win. I didn't think I'll ever eat again. And that was that. But no, I think the overall takeaway yesterday is that we all need to be taking better advantage of the ecosystems and the tools that are at hand. We talked about it on the Ape Chain space. There were ways to get funded. There are ways to network. There are ways to grow. And I guess like what I look at when I think about yesterday, and maybe this brings it back to the point you were making about Jesse, it's like he has the opportunity to do what we did yesterday times 1,000. Like if they wanted to host a base builders conference at like IRL or even virtual, like virtual because we are a virtual environment, like that could be something that would show off and display what they're doing. They could give away
that's actually a lot of work. There's a lot of prep work. It takes time to host the thing. It's just a lot easier just to tokenize a word or content, call it content and slap it on chain and let's run that to 20 million bucks.
What, you didn't see the circle cap? There was a circle around a word. I don't know if you noticed that part. That's innovation.
Who's buying this? Who are the buyers? Is anyone here buying this? I'm genuinely curious. Who are buying this? That's like, oh, I want to collect this piece of content. Like, find me one person that isn't speculating, that's only buying it because they think number might go up for a short period of time. Who is buying this to collect?
So these people, the people who are buying it, are going to tell you all the reasons. Like, it's easy to kind of.
I haven't even heard a good reason why, though. I haven't even heard like a fake. Oh, I haven't even heard like a very. It's just I can't even. There's a lot of dumb stuff that happens on chain. There's a lot of experimenting. This is probably the most perplexing to me.
It's a strange thing, and I think for a lot of people, when you're like, who's buying this? I mean, this is sort of like a little bit, to make a there's going to be a bag bias, right? To make an analogy, and again, I know this might bother some people to make this analogy, but like you look at something like Kaido, by the way, also on base. Also, Jesse got into a spat over Kaido when Farouk said, thanks for the stimmy, Kaido, appreciate that. And we talked about that yesterday. It's like Kaido was built on the back. Man, the more I think about base, the more I'm getting concerned as I'm talking. It's like Kaido drops an airdrop. You see people like, Farouk, a vocal leader in the community, like who they kind of built their product on the back of people like him because that's what it's for. It's like social amplification. And Farouk says, thanks for the stimmy and cashed it out. And Jesse got in a spat with him over cashing out an airdrop, right? Like that was like which was the whole thing he didn't ask for, they handed to him that he claimed. So that happened. And so like that was a base product. And now it's like this thing's coming out on base. I don't know, man. Like I'm struggling with this narrative, with what's going on. I was going to make the comparison to Kaido though, where it's like, when I said Kaido was bad, I got a lot of people in my replies talking about why it was good. And I said, I need to do more research. Upon doing more research, my general findings is it's bag bias. They'll give you the same reasons why they think Kaido is great. They'll repeat what the founder says. But then when you dig in, there's like sort of these straw mans that don't add up. I think with the content coins, you're going to see a lot of people defending why it makes sense. And it's going to be people who are holding Kaido, who are holding these content coins, who are saying, oh yeah, didn't you know? It's like tokenize everything. Why should artists not see a dime off memes? And it's a meme coin with a bigger picture. And I'm not quite understanding the purpose of it. And I keep going back to this, not to be redundant, but like you talk about yesterday, we ran a conference where there were 25 teams who did 90-second pitches about the opportunity to, grow the ApeCoin ecosystem with tight, concise reasoning why. Then we had 5 of them going to the final, and that was for a, 5K ape grant. Without a doubt, Base could do a bigger grant than that. They could run a better conference, not better necessarily, but bigger conference, certainly with a bigger reach. And instead, we see him on the timeline being like, hey, we said Base is for everyone. We circled the word everyone in blue. This is innovation in the future. I'm not going to stop experimenting. He got in an argument with the Pump.Fun founder who wasn't even that critical. Did you see this one?
No, I actually, I'm so I didn't know how to best, I should have put more thought in how to describe how this thing has made me feel, because I saw that, I think I saw someone respond or someone quote, I didn't even read it. I'm so uninterested in this whole thing. I think it's so dumb that I've not even kept up with the back and forth. But this is further to my point. It's okay, let's get in a spat with Farouk. Let's get in a spat with the founder of Pump Fun. Just doesn't seem like a brand ambassador's best method of operation.
I'm trying to find this tweet because someone shared it in the war room. It was deep, and we had a lot of ApeCon talk yesterday. But it was very strange.
Mesh says it. If we're tokenizing everything, how does anything have value? This is the opposite of digital scarcity. I don't know. I'm hoping this is the shortest run of a meta we've seen yet, and by next week everyone's forgotten about it, and maybe Jesse gets fired. I don't hope Jesse gets fired. I don't wish ill will on anyone. I just think that their approach, why I'm so frustrated, is because of the power they yield. They are the best position to onboard the masses. It's just a fact. Others could come up and maybe they're opening the door for someone else to do that, but because of their platform, because of the access they have to people who aren't in this space, who have adjacent, or they're passively invested in some crypto, they have such a competitive advantage in that regard. And this, I honestly feel will turn more of them off than it's not going to do anything to onboard any of them. I'm frustrated because where for a while, I guess I was naively bullish on Coinbase being the leader in terms of growing this space and onboarding the masses. At first, it was I remember both of us getting really excited about the NFT marketplace and how that could have been the shopping mall right outside the bank, and they were set up for massive success with that. And I think you and I have probably sold more NFTs than that entire platform did, despite the millions of dollars sunk into it. It was a botched product because they brought in people who had no crypto experience per se. Now they've had mixed success with base, and instead of leaning into supporting builders, and like you mentioned, it's pumping Zora. It's like there's other competing products as well, but you're pumping Zora because of their content coin. Like it seems like they have lost the plot. What happened to onboarding the next billion users? Like, do you genuinely look me in the eyes and tell me you think content coins are going to onboard a billion users? Like, you think it's going to onboard 1,000 new users, let alone a billion? It's just, it really feels like I'm starting to lose any bit of confidence that Coinbase is actually going to be an onboarding mechanism. And I think that's why I'm so frustrated.
That's the bummer, is that you see Brian Armstrong talking to Congress and trying to change the world. And then you see Jesse, talking about the content coins, which again, like, I'm just trying to understand the direction they're going here. So it takes a lot, because I'm not a Pump Fund fan, to get me to look at like the founder of Pump Fund and say, hey, like this makes a lot of sense. So again, co-founder Pump Fund, Alan, if you don't know him, says, I think there's a reality where what base did is normal in a few years' time, but it definitely isn't today, and that has resulted in hurt. I'm a huge advocate for the vision of tokenize everything, clearly Pump Fund, right? But you can't change current market realities. If you launch a coin and have social influence, that comes with a responsibility, kind of what you're saying, Cap. Namely, the responsibility is stick to the space's social standards to a T. Don't launch or show other coins. Don't set high expectations. Don't talk about price, etc. These social standards aren't dictated by myself, Pump Fund, Coinbase, or the president. They're formed by users that are in the trenches every single day.
Couldn't agree more. I'm going to go like that one as well, because that sums it up. Like, and this is coming from the shitcoin founder, like the one who started this meta of Pump Fund and in these, this rapid velocity of new coins being created. Like, it's.
Are you ready for the mature response, though? Real quick, before you get going crazy, let me read you the response to make you further mad. Jesse goes, thank you for this note. Next time, I will definitely make sure to confirm to the prescribed pump.fund trench standards for how to correctly use the internet capital markets. I will not continue to try new things because it's definitely not important to expand the pie. And then he goes, oops, I broke the rules, and then launched another thing on Zora. And then, Brett's trying to explain it down here. Like, if this wasn't intended to be snappy an email, and then but he basically said, like, you missed or either way on this reply, which, Brett does a pretty good job with that. But like, I'm just not understanding. Like, was there like a call down to be like, hey, we need to be more degen here at base. We're not degen enough. Like, I'm not understanding. And again, like, I don't know, like people are, and I just see like Ebring saying, really think you guys are overthinking it. The token is just a back end to give a post some liquidity for artists. This is better than open editions. I don't agree. It's not.
I'm actually getting something. Like it's like there's a poster. It's a piece of paper on my wall. It's a Lollapalooza poster. It's a print. It's not worth anything except for to me, because I went to Lollapalooza 2011. It's worth nothing to anyone else, but to me, it's hung on my wall. It's very similar to an open edition that I might store on my wall. I might get a print of. What the hell am I going to do with 3 words that someone said? Like, it's just.
Well,
I'm glad we're getting another side of it, to someone who's like, okay, this isn't as bad as you guys think. I appreciate this. I just respectfully disagree. I do not think it's even remotely close to open editions, and nor is it superior.
Well,
like,
here. Okay,
is that hit though? Like a concert poster, a movie poster, the stuff on your back wall, that's comparable to an open edition. What's the analog to a tokenized content?
So here's the problem I have with it is I will build on it with.
Sorry, I moved my mic. I don't know if you got lost me there. I spun the mic around. Did I?
No, it was good. It sounded a little bit like you were calling in from a potato, which was great. Actually, it was good. It was good effect for those who are listening or watching to know that you actually move the camera and the mic. Ebring says you understand a couple of cents. Here's what I would say. I appreciate the counter perspective, Ebring, by the way. Thank you for challenging the way of thinking. Number one, I actually want to commend you on that.
You're welcome to come up on stage too if you'd like to discuss it.
Because like I want to have that discussion and I don't want you. But here's where I disagree. When you say you guys are overthinking it, it's better than open editions. Here's why I disagree with that. If an artist released an open edition, it's a not only is it obviously a piece of like tokenized art that you're able to get to show your fandom, but like you actually track fandom in a way that the artist could say, I want to reward my best fans through token gated activities. this is a strange, inferior set of technologies that is purely done based on running speculation of market cap up and down in that same sort of methodology, which doesn't make sense to me. Like an artist open edition, I've said before, I don't know that art was made for high frequency trading. It's great that it can be traded in high frequency on the blockchain, but like high frequency trading art is always been a little bit strange to me. The idea that like you're going to then tokenize it and make it effectively, like, I know it's not securitized, but effectively make it a securitized asset, like that's bizarre to me. Like that's bizarre to me to say we're going to take this art and make it so that the price is going up and down similar to a meme coin versus an open edition where if you tokenize fandom, like I said it yesterday, B-Check and Legendary, shout out to them for judging, being our front end judges for ApeCon yesterday. B-Check and Legendary, great. They want to tokenize interviews. Well, then they can take, like, 400 plus people minted a ApeCon NFT yesterday, right? During ApeCon. Cap and I can now go back and say, we know who those 400 wallets are, and we could potentially offer something else that is only for those 400 wallets in the future. Like if we wanted to do ApeCon 2, we could say everyone who was at ApeCon 1 who minted this, you now have the ability to mint this other NFT, which is, done by a special artist. I don't know. I'm making it up. This is not that. It's an inferior version of that. Hard for me to say like this is, and again, I like experimentation on chain. I like when people try. This is not that though. And I just don't track it. And I don't know. And I'm not, look, Jesse's taking it from all angles. So there's a chance if he sees my tweet that he'll respond and be mad. Chance he probably doesn't respond to it at all. I know I've never like.
I hope he tries to dunk on you. I hope he tries to get in a spat with you as well.
I don't think he will, because I don't think that I'm important enough to acknowledge. I've learned this. Which again, I don't have saltiness about this sort of thing. I've said it before. I do find it funny when it's like there are.
I'm not salty either, but it shows me further. It just further drives home that Base has lost the plot. Jesse, if you ever hear this, you're welcome to come on the show. We'd love to have the discussion. Your actions over the past couple of years shows me you're not the right person to be leading Base. You're alienating leaders in crypto and Web3. We were the biggest cheerleaders and supporters of Base, and you're like, you're big guyiness. Like you can't acknowledge Steve. You can't. You're gonna snap back at other founders in the space. Like you've lost the plot, buddy. Please, open invite. You're welcome to come on. And even if you hear this, you'll probably flick, give me the middle finger and say you're not going to stoop to our level or something. But it's like, be better. Base should be better. We should all be proud of Base. We should all be like fanboys of Base and applauding the charge they're making from a regulatory environment standpoint and all that they're doing for the space at large. This is not it, man. You don't have to do this. Like, what is the purpose? Are you really hurting for some extra transactions or some extra volume? Like, are you losing clients? Like, what is going on? Why are we going backwards? Because this, like, I agree with Alan. Like maybe at some point we tokenize everything, but can we start putting stuff on chain that matters first? Stuff that actually has value, stuff that people actually want to use and buy? Like, because this isn't it. I promise you, this is not it. No one is coming into crypto to buy your tokenized content.
It's bizarre. It's a bizarre product. And I guess the way that I explain it to people when I say this is like, look, like, it's
also not new, we should add. Like this existed in 2021. Like it didn't stick. We're trying something that already has proven not to work again, and you're being a pretentious asshole about it. Come on.
I guess and this is what like I don't quite understand is like and it's funny because I saw Finn like my post, and Finn is abstract is focusing more on actual there's
this is what they're doing. They're opening up the door for all these startups that have a fraction of the reach. They have a fraction of the embedded base. They're going to get lapped. I'm telling you right now, if they keep this up, Base is going to get lapped by the flows, the ape chains, the abstracts of the world. Like the L2 space is insanely competitive. They have significant competitive advantages. They're going to fumble the ball. They're in the process of blowing the 3-1 lead, Steve.
But can't they just end up ultimately this will be one of those situations where they're just going to acquire one of these early on and be like, look, we are the consumer chain. Like that's probably what Base will do, right? Like they're a big publicly traded company. They'll end up acquiring one of these chains that is a real consumer chain, and then they don't have to do it. I don't know. We'll go to market.
Why didn't they acquire OpenSea or Blur or they could have done that too. They didn't. I don't know.
Well, OpenSea was never acquirable based on their, like, I mean, it would have had to be super early. But yeah, like, I guess, like, the point, your point about the NFT marketplace, I get. I don't know. Like, I'll go to Mark in a second here, but I struggle with this, and I, like, think about it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It makes me sad. And it's like, I think about, like, the, I think about, like, businesses that have been disrupted because they lost the plot. Like, what did we just talk about yesterday or a couple days ago when Jonah came on and was like, part of the problem is NFT projects just chase the latest meta or chase the latest trend. It feels like a little bit like that's what Base is doing here. They're like, hey, like, we need some transactions, meme coin, let's build a product for crypto Twitter. And I don't know, just doesn't really jive with me. But let's go to Mark here and get his take on it. Mark GM.
Hey, good morning, guys. I just want to ask you guys a question. As content creators, do you think that your content should be tokenized? I think it's worth differentiating between art and content. They're very different. I just want to know, do you guys think that your content should be tokenized?
It depends how you define it. So do I think you can tokenize content? Yes, I do think you can with a purpose, right? Like, I think there are multiple reasons to tokenize content that could potentially make sense. And I could go down those use cases for you, like, very briefly, which are, I think you can tokenize content to give something that represents a moment in time. So, like, you know, like, in some ways, the 400 plus ApeCon mints yesterday were tokenized content. It was a token to represent a content that effectively happened and a chain, sort of like a proof of attendance. And then we could use that, as I mentioned, to potentially track fandom in the future, people who attended. I think you can tokenize content for memory reasons, right? Like, if you want it as memorabilia, if there is only a certain number of tokenized issuance of a certain piece of content that you are displaying in your house digitally to remember a moment in time or something special. I can even be convinced that that is sort of the commemorative reason potentially. Tokenizing randomized content, though, doesn't do it for me this way. And this way of tokenizing content, I think, is strictly inferior to, say, like, an NFT tokenized content. So I think you can, but I think it's a more nuanced conversation than a yes-no when you're talking about content versus art. Because I can think of various reasons and use cases where tokenizing content could potentially make sense. I think it makes sense to tokenize if you're on a decentralized social media site where you're sharing pictures. I think it makes sense to tokenize those so they can be portable across a multitude of platforms, right? Here I go, talking like ChatGPT again. People accuse me of talking to ChatGPT.
Specifically, I want to know specifically about your content, like content that people go to for entertainment, stuff that people watch. Do you think that should be tokenized?
Again, in certain circumstances, yes, for various use cases. Just a straight, and again, I think the use case of it matters. I'm not trying to, like, sort of, like, duck the question. What I'm trying to say is, like, this style of tokenized content where it securitizes content effectively, even though I know we're not calling it that because we figured out a way to say meme coins are a product, that's more of a problem than tokenizing content as an NFT, which has programmable opportunity and isn't just about speculating a price going up. Like, tokenizing content with, like, a soulbound token, for example. So that's where it's like, yes, I think there are opportunities to tokenize content. I think this is just missing the plot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess when you talk about tokenizing, like, a poster or like a POAP essentially, for going to ApeCon yesterday. By the way, thank you guys for hosting that. That was so fun. I was on Team Zards, but it was a blast. It was awesome to see everyone compete. But just thinking about content, I guess the content that people go and watch, is it worth being tokenized? Not even talking about, like, speculating on it and all that.
So, like, what do you think about this, Mark? Bunch of in the chat says Top Shot is tokenized content. I agree. That's fine, tokenized content.
Yeah, because I actually want to go watch that dunk, or, like, that content is worth something to me. Like, a POAP that I went somewhere is cool for memorabilia, but it's not content I'm seeking out and watching. I'm talking about content that people seek out and watch. Like, as a creator, you guys create a show. Is that worth tokenizing? Not even speculating on, like, maybe speculating on, not sure, but just the idea of tokenizing that kind of content that creators create. Is that worth doing? Like, I'm not talking about NFTs or, you know, with this whole Web3 world. Just in general, like, there's a Web2 Instagram content creator. Do you see a world where that gets tokenized, and how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I could. And I guess that's kind of my point is, like, I think how you do things matters. And I think tokenizing a Instagram creator says, like, look, like, collect this for, you know, $1.07, and we're doing a giveaway, or like there are like a bunch of reasons I think it can work. I guess my specific piece isn't necessarily the idea of tokenizing content or tokenizing everything, because I think like the problem is you end up in this like this side argument, and all things come together. Not what you're doing here, but like in general, if like, you know, Jesse comes on, like you can take this straw man and you could basically say like, well, you don't think you should tokenize the tractor you own, or you can't tokenize the house, or you shouldn't tokenize your credentials. It's like, no, you should tokenize everything in various ways, but there are specific reasons. And I think there's this like fallacious way of saying like, oh, you don't think the future is tokenizing everything? You're not like, you don't support artists or creators or people who put out a meme. It's like, no, I do. But there are specific ways that make sense to tokenize something. Turning something into, again, effectively a security is a completely different level of tokenization. And like, I think do I want to turn my content into a cheap and speculative price go up, people trading around and then getting mad at me about that stuff? Ridiculous, right? Doesn't do the same thing. Like Doomer said, Doodle's viral moments were all content coins. And Doodle's viral moments, that one I can understand. You have more data. You know who mints it. You know, you drop it to people who hold it. People remember those things. They maybe want to go through their Doodles collection one day, and instead of scrolling the Instagram, they go to their wallet and be like, yeah, I own a piece of that history. There are so many reasons that make sense. Turning that into a price go up, price go down, watch chart. Is it a $15 million cap? Oh, it dumped. Oh, like you are cheapening your own content by doing it that way, number one. And it's not a logical way to do it. It's just, the product makes zero sense to me comparatively to other products that tokenize content. Like, I think there are a million ways to tokenize content and frankly, tokenize everything. I don't think this is it. And that's, I guess, what I come down to, and where I struggle with it is like, and again, to Cap's point, I think my frustration is exacerbated by the fact that you have like this single greatest onboarding opportunity as a brand, and you're basically letting it slip away by doing silly activations that at best fracture and sort of the community that is currently in crypto. And I always have this test for crypto, which is I spend a tremendous amount of time thinking about analogies of how to explain stable coins and how the yield works, and how to explain layer twos, and how to explain the blockchain, and how to explain Bitcoin, and how to explain all these things to concepts to people. And I can almost always get them across to normal humans. If I go to explain this to a normal human being, they're going to look at me and say, I don't get the thesis. It's ridiculous. Like, and that, I think when you start having that, you realize you've lost the plot a little bit. Outside of me saying it's a speculative casino and people go to the casino, which is fine if that's the direction they want to go, but don't pretend it's something bigger than that. Because if you want to explain to someone why Bitcoin makes sense, why digital money makes sense, why cross-border payments make sense, why digital credentials make sense, done, easy, right? Real world assets, tokenize, makes sense. Verification on chain makes sense. Preventing deepfakes, all these things, awesome. Tokenize those things and that makes sense. If you can't explain it in a cohesive way to crypto Twitter, let alone people outside of this world, I feel like it's lost the plot. Like, I think the product tells the story of itself if you cannot properly explain it to the group of people who are natively here. Anyway, I'll end my rant there and land my plane. I know we have some other hands, but Mark, feel free to respond to any questions. I know I'm a little bit passionate this morning, but do you have any final thoughts before we keep running through hands?
No, all good. I just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts.
Thank you for the question also, and always coming up. I appreciate it. And like I want to always underscore, if we get passionate on this show and this sort of thing, we love being challenged. We love the questions. We love the thought-provoking conversation. We never mean it as I am a person who wants to discuss and break down ideas, not discuss and break down people, although we kind of are doing that a little bit with Jesse's actions this morning, but I think it's based on actions and the ideas behind them. Go ahead, Cap.
No, I'll let you get to hands. I just came to the realization that Lollapalooza 2011 was 14 years ago, and it made me feel a certain way, but go ahead.
Cap's still thinking about the poster on his wall that he just had all the feels about. Let's go
maybe debatably one of the GOAT Lollapaloozas, however. We're not going to get off on that tangent this morning, but I kid you not, there's like, I don't know, maybe a dozen people in this space that we were all there in 2011. We've had that conversation a few times, like Taylor Gehring from one of the co-founders of Ethereum. Like it was an all-time Lollapalooza, but I digress. Go ahead.
Glad Cap going trip down memory lane. Just shock a GM. Get in here.
GM, love your show as always. And I love this topic because I'm very much involved in the fan art marketplace. Tokenizing real world assets, right? That's the long tail of crypto and NFTs. But the main issue there is the legal side. Who owns it? Who has the rights? Do we have oracles to back it up? But tokenizing IP, especially in the NFT space, is happening. I posted a project called Singular in the comments. They launched a marketplace that tokenizes fan art for NFT projects. They're growing rapidly. People go there, they mint out, and a share of the proceeds go to the projects and to the artists. And I was looking at this and saying, how cool would it be if you bought an NFT and it came with a revenue stream from the sale of art, right? Straight to your wallet. You bought it today, tomorrow you get small deposits, micro sales from transactions. I mean, this is the cool part about, I think, tokenizing IP. And, you know, I hope that there's more traction, right? But it has to come from, people giving their IP out there to be tokenized, giving permission to the artist anyway. But my main question is actually not regarding that, it's regarding base. So I've been helping a small project called Drip Dragons. 16-year-old kid, spent 2 years minting a collection of 3,000 Drip Dragons on base, started when he was 14. Amazing story, amazing kid, like just mind-blowing, right? To see the new generation putting all this time and effort into doing something like this. And we have tried everything to get from base, and it's like hitting a brick wall. They don't care. They don't care about the community. They don't care. I mean, if this was any other project, it would be like a super cool story to show the success of the platform. He's barely been able to sell like 20 of his NFTs, zero support. So just wondering if you have any pointers on what to do there.
No, I haven't had.
Move to a different chain that supports the community.
That's what we told him to do. That's what we told him to do. We said, look, just remint,
Yeah, there's on the first part of that, by the way, another great example of tokenize everything. Somebody tokenizing and allowing you to own fractional shares of fine art, great. Another great example of tokenize everything, right? Like I think Rally Road does that really well to a degree with some of the work that they did. Like, I own a piece of Deaton, a Triceratops skull. I own a piece of flat copies of the Declaration of Independence, like I'm fucking Nick Cage in National Treasure. I own all these different things on Rally Road that are kind of cool, and I like owning those fractionalized things, so I want to own those fractionalized things. Fractionalizing art's a great example of tokenize everything. Another great example. And yeah, to your point about the support, like I'm not going to be like super harsh because I know that there's some people who do enjoy building on base, but I have heard that the support there is a little bit like, hey, you need us, we don't need you. You can do some small grants, and so I do think that there is some validity to potentially finding another chain where, I mean, look at Abstract. Again, I'm not saying to go to Abstract depending on what the goals are, but we're streaming on Abstract like now. Look at ApeChain. ApeChain, every time there's an NFT, man, it feels like the whole community says, hey, let's mint this out. Let's buy these. We're excited to own them. Again, Abstract, you have support from brands on quick sellouts on things like Final Bossu, right? Where people are like, oh, no, those aren't going to sell out. But guess what? They did very quickly. I think in like 20 seconds or something like that. So I think if you're like trying to mint out NFTs, you're probably going to see a little more support. What I did see yesterday is, retweets from Jesse on people who were doing this random tokenized word type things and being like, look, we're copying you. Hilarious. We tokenize it. Oh, we made a video to capitalize on it. Awesome. Take this. Like, so I think that you'll see like support if he wants to put some words into a tokenized content coin or whatever this is. But outside of that, I'm not sure you'll see a lot of support there. Joey Vowles, go ahead and get in here, GM. Joey Vowles, do we have you?
Yeah. I was just trying to get to the mute button. So first, before I add a take, I have a question. Is the issue not tokenizing? Is the issue tokenizing content, or is the issue how base is presenting tokenizing content?
I mean, the latter. I think tokenized content can make sense in a variety of fashions. I just think this particular execution is inferior to just about anything I could think of. I think there are like very logical ways to tokenize content. I don't track this particular execution of it.
Yeah, so I just, for people in the audience, right? Because when we keep like sitting in the audience and listening, and you guys we keep talking about like tokenizing content. I just wanted to be clear. Like, I think we could all agree that tokenizing content in a thoughtful, strategic way makes sense. It's the way that's being that Base is presenting how to tokenize content is the issue that I think all of us are having, right?
Yes. Something like Mirror that launched in, I don't know, 2021 makes a lot more sense to tokenize content than this. Like, there's been better ways, and those ways didn't stick. Like, those ways didn't find product market fit. And we're going backwards and releasing an inferior product and presenting it like this. It's poor form.
Yeah, I agree. Because when I think about tokenizing content, I think about like, as an example, we hope, Steve's book becomes it makes the New York bestseller list, and all of a sudden, the original first edition copies are super valuable. Like, I could see tokenizing a single version of that book. Let's just pretend it's like the draft. Well, not the book, the draft of the book, right? You tokenize it, and then, like Steve said, like on Rally Road, you fractionalize it into only 100 pieces, and then those people can each own 1/100th of the draft of that book, right? Or if you're, let's say, a gamer,
or on that, Joey, to give that example, like, let's say that the book was like a smashing success and we tokenize it and we have certain versions, and whoever buys those tokenized versions can get access to buy my next book at a discounted rate. And then we're doing speaking in New York and you get entry into it, whereas there's other tickets that are being charged. And, oh, by the way, I have a lot of founders I know in the space, so now you own this tokenized book. I got you on allow list. I went and negotiated on behalf of the 15 of you that own this to get you 15 allow list spots and all this stuff. This is what tokenized content can do. Or, oh, I notice you like that. Here's an opportunity to get to try out a new NFT marketplace because I got a certain amount of early spots to test things. It's not financial, but hey, it's going to give you the opportunity to test out some new tech and do some new things. Because I have those connections and I have that ability and you clearly support this space, that's what I've done. All of these things I'm describing are logical tokenized content downstream things. If Lin-Manuel Miranda tokenizes, the outfit he wore in Hamilton, and people buy it to own a tokenized version of it, and it's stored somewhere, and they all own a piece of it. And then he says, guess what? I have a new Broadway show coming out. You're going to get to go to that. Oh, I've signed copies of the original Hamilton a booklet that you get when you're at the program. Well, guess what? I'm sending those to you. All of these are tokenized, because someone asked in the chat, do you think tokenized content can work? Yes. I think tokenized content is actually, like, there are a million types, and I'm talking about tokenizing items with tokenizing everything, but you could tokenize the opening to Hamilton that came out. You could tokenize a video of that, and you could use that to deliver back value. Those things make sense to me. So I'll let you keep cooking, but I want to be clear on like what I'm saying when I say like tokenized content and ways to do it. It's not just like tokenizing things to create money and revenue streams down the line. It's tokenizing things so that you can then deliver them back and deliver against them. That's where my head goes. But Joey, keep cooking.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, we saw it with the first ever tweet. That was tokenized content, right? Somebody took the first ever tweet, turned it into an NFT, and then it sold for something stupid, right? Like $10 million or whatever it was, right? Like, so it's not like we haven't seen tokenized content before. And I do believe tokenized content works. Again, if you're a very popular streamer, right? Like, let's say there's this guy, Lucky Chamu. He's the #1 COD Rebirth player in the world. If people want to support him, he could very easily tokenize like clips, like, again, NBA Top Shot, right? Like tokenizing like crazy team wipes or like victories or whatever. He can tokenize those, and then people can support him by buying them, being like, hey, I bought Lucky Chamu's 100th victory, right? Again, the NBA Top Shot.
Oh shit! Sorry, Joey. Keep going. I was checking the queue. I didn't mean to mute you. I was checking the queue.
The NBA, like when Bunchu said, NBA Top Shot, that's a great example of tokenized content. So I think, just to bring it back to my whole point, the issue here isn't that we think tokenizing content is a bad idea from Base. We think about the execution, the strategy of how to do it is the problem. Like, it shouldn't be, let's just, again, to your point, a meme coin, right? If you want to tokenize content, focus on the content itself and allow the content to have the value, not let's release, 999,999,999 pieces of a token, a coin, a meme coin with a picture, so you guys can then just go trade it, and then I can rug it and make all my money. So yes.
And Joey, you talked about tokenized content. You did mention the first tweet. There's a massive difference between Jack Dorsey selling the first tweet in experimentation mode when we're just figuring out what NFTs are in like March, June, like whenever that was, 2021, right? I believe, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it was 2022, but I'm pretty sure that the Jack Dorsey tweet was sold in 2021, like early, like March, April, May, June, July, something like that, right? That is insanely different than now in 2025 being like, here's some words with a circle. When
there's been 10,000 plus, meme coins minted per day for the last year, like it's vastly different time. Like it's just the one you reference, it's got scarcity. There's one of them. This is just dumb. Steve, I know we've got probably some more thoughts and comments on this. There's a couple of items I know we got a guest coming up. I just wanted to hit on one other thing. If I could do a hard pivot real quick. Did you check out this? Have you seen this Flappy Bird or this Fluffle?
You mean Fluffle Frogger? Yeah, I'm playing it.
Insane. Like,
I don't know if the announcement's gone out yet, though, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say the chains and things that are on it. So I want to be careful. Have they dropped info on it?
It's really impressive. It was March 22nd, 2021 that you knew when that X tweet sold.
I remember because it seems so, like, a lot of people were like, this is silly and ridiculous, and we're like, hey, they're trying new things. I don't know. So, but Cap, go ahead. I don't know. I would be careful about what you're saying with this one. Just make sure that
I think Mega ETH sent out a post. So I pinned that up top.
Okay, cool.
So I said, I quote tweeted and said, this is the 2025 version of 1,000 songs in your pocket. Very few people can understand what TPS really means and how much of a difference it matters when these chains, a lot of these chains tout TPS as one of their leading key metrics. No one cares. Very few people care. Like, yes, the devs, those deep in the tech, they understand and they might grasp it. Most users have no clue the difference when they're showing these TPS numbers side by side, what that transaction per second really means. This game is the 2025 version of Apple's 1,000 songs in your pocket. Just like back then, no one had a clue. Very few people could comprehend what gigabytes of audio of MP3 files were. It didn't land. And most of those that beat the iPod to market, they didn't find product market fit. Not because they didn't have a good product, because they were selling features over benefits. This game is the best demo I've seen in crypto as far as showing benefits over features. I'll just let everyone play it for themselves. It's pinned up top. It was mind-blowing to me. And some people, like, the people are going to find like, why do you need every transaction of a game on chain? You probably don't. Like, maybe you do. I can't think of a reason why you would need every single move on chain yet, but it does an incredible job of. It's like, for the first time, we've been a fan of Mega ETH. Both of us minted the Soulbound token back a while when they did that first raise. This has really been the first time, like, oh wow, this is really different.
Yeah, the TPS, I think people don't understand how important it's going to be in that sort of thing, where it's like doing the game fully on chain. This is one of the reasons why I'm really interested in Mega ETH as a platform, for sure. So I did see this. I don't think they've revealed everything about it yet, but I did see that, which was pretty cool. Saw some information about it. I was DMing with some folks about it yesterday. I think it's very cool. So if people haven't seen it, just go to Mega ETH's X and you can kind of see. It's basically an on-chain version of Frogger, but it's good graphics. There's no latency. I was very bad at it. I was DMing yesterday about how horrible I was and how I need to be better at it. But I do think that is a very interesting. It is a very interesting. Like people, like, I think, don't appreciate. I get like made fun of for being like the nerd who enjoys the tech to a fault at times. I think TPS is really important for these applications. Like, and I know it's not a hot take. It's transactions per second is what you're looking for. But, one of the barriers to crypto is the fact that you're like, oh, this is taking forever. Oh, the network's jammed. Like, doing things that quickly and that well, I think is super interesting. So yes,
it's a Web 2 experience on chain. I know we got a guest come up here soon, but I saw Mackie fly up with his hand up. I think Mackie has a mint today as well. Is that right, Mackie?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty weird to say that out loud, but yeah, it's on testnet Mega ETH, so it's on Rarible.fun.
So I have a question. When you're minting something on a testnet like that, what happens when mainnet goes live? Does it migrate?
I have no idea. They might record some of that stuff across. So this is just for fun. It's not with real money. You can get faucet Mega ETH. So like, I'm not going to get any funds out of this, but I am going to try to like, there's that cartridge that Rarible.fun released that sold out. There was 500 of them sold out in minutes. I totally missed it. I am going to try to accumulate as much testnet ETH as I can to purchase one of those. That's my whole goal with this. It's not like, I don't know. It's not crazy. So
well, I would
made an AI and yeah, but it's fun. I'm having a blast. It's my first time minting anything, and having a little bit of support from Rarible is actually really nice.
It's awesome. And I think very fitting when we're talking about tokenizing stuff and not getting support from the where here you are. And while you say you're doing it for fun, I applaud you. And I think in it beyond the experimenting and fun, it hit me this morning. I saw you doing it. I was like, wow, this is really smart, because I think, especially after seeing this, I think from my perspective, all these chains it's insanely competitive. Most of them aren't going to last. From my perspective, the chains I've experimented on, just in that playing that game this morning, Mega ETH has its spot. Mega ETH has a differentiator. It has its place. And I think by being early and experimenting on testnet, like I would, my recommendation, my unsolicited advice would be go hard at Mega ETH and make this your Mega ETH to you could be like what Blast was for ICO Beast and Jin, like be one of the early, like really deep in that ecosystem, because like there's risk in doing that and kind of like going in early on a testnet or before something really catches on. But there's obviously interest based on the the pre-sale selling out, the investment already into the chain. And yeah, I think this is one where I'm really excited about Mega ETH in their future. And I think you're wise to be putting extra time and attention into experimenting over there. Would be my, again, unsolicited feedback for you.
Oh no, I've been doing that for weeks at this point. Posting in the Mega ETH community on Twitter, like getting in the DMs with Rarible, like using the clipping skills that I have to like put their things on blast. That's exactly the game plan that I'm working through right now. I'm really heavily involved in Guess Best, which is invested has like Travis Bickle from wow, what is it called?
Fantasy Top.
Frentech.
Fantasy Top.
Yeah, Fantasy Top. I always get the two confused, because they're both FT. But yeah, from Fantasy Top. So like he's involved, and like Bandit XBT's involved too. But the game is so addictive. I literally
what's it called again?
Everybody, it's called Guess Best. Basically, like you choose between two things to pick the most popular one, and the person in the group who guesses correctly the best gets the money that's in the pot. You can play with like candies. They've got candies, so there's definitely some kind of mechanism to track like how much you've put down. But I've been playing this game every day for like 2 weeks, and I don't get addicted to stuff normally. I've got really good self-control, but this shit's so fun. A little bit not safe for work, so be careful about that. But you can actually turn that off in the settings too. So yeah, there's also like an on-chain Minecraft formerly called Biomes, that's now called Dust, that's on Mega ETH. I was playing that for a little bit. Everything you do, everything you collect is a transaction. It's like really crazy what the speed's gonna unlock, I think.
Yeah, and I think people miss the plot sometimes on the speed of and how that matters, right? And I think that's a again, very interesting road to go down. Cap, that said, I'm going to double up More You Know's Monday, Tuesday next week. We had a exhausting 8-hour plus stream yesterday. So took it easy this morning. And our friends at ENS, obviously, we've given as much added value as possible. So and we did a More You Know yesterday when we had the bigger audience prior to Garga coming on. So gonna sit on that one. Do you want to do our potentially final, although with everything we have in the hopper right now, maybe we'll continue using this intro even into next week to give added value to our friends at Awaken Tax. You want to do a quick daily market update before we pivot to our guest?
Yeah, I can hit it quick. There's not much moving, but let's get it.
It's market update time. Let's set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean. Got your back. Grab your coffee. Let's break it down. Daily update right now.
And it is time for the daily market update brought to you by Awaken, the best way to handle your crypto taxes. If you're delinquent on your taxes, it's only a few days. It's better than me, who screwed it all up the first year I was in crypto full time and ended up getting a 5-figure tax bill and then paying even more to my accountant to help clean up the mess. Awaken's going to fix that for you with integrations across top exchanges and blockchains, plus AI-powered transaction labeling. Awaken makes tax season easy. From NFTs to DeFi to meme coins, Awaken has you covered. Even content coins, they'll get you there. Get $50 off with code COFFEE at awaken.tax. That's $50 off when you use code COFFEE at awaken.tax. Go sign up if you haven't already. And last thing I'll say in it, and then I'll throw it to you, Cap, is look, if you want to if you have done your taxes and they're already filed, something like Awaken actually is a good way to track your ongoing cap gains, make sure that your cap losses, as it might be in markets like this, if you own things like Ethereum, it's going to help you stay on track throughout the year to make sure at the end of the year you don't get knocked off your block there. So toss it to you for that update, Cap.
Flat day in the world of coins, except maybe good as content coins, but Bitcoin basically flat, 84,652. Same with ETH, 1593. XRP is $2.08. Solana, one of the few green ones, up 0.66% to 134. Doge, 15 cents. Cardano, 61 cents. Chainlink, 12.56, also up slightly. Avalanche, 19.13. Stellar, 24 cents, up 2% on the day. And Shiba, up 1.5%. On the NFT front, Dungeons of Fortune, leading the way, up 13.8% to a 0.028 floor. That's on base, a new mint here. Does have over 6,000 sales in the last day, 272 ETH in volume, leading the way there. 1.4 Bitcoin volume in Taproot Wizards, up 5% on the day to 0.158 or 0.1578 Bitcoin. Mutants up almost 2% to 2.46. Milady's flat at 2.95. Creeps giving up the gains they had yesterday, down 18% of the day to 1.74. I still don't know what drove the pump and then the following sell-off, but Creeps in the news. Final Bossu still holding strong following their mint, 0.919 ETH. It's down 2% on the day, but still seeing good volume. I saw someone also, it's not on the leaderboard here, but I saw someone shout out the Good Vibes Club and having sustained volume for weeks, if not months past their mint here. Little Pudgies down 1% to 1.14. Cake, not familiar with that one. Another new one on ETH, 1.053 ETH. Azuki 2.49 and Pudgies 9.53, down 1%. That's our daily market update brought to you by Awaken.tax. Head to Awaken.tax. Use code COFFEE. Back to you, Steve.
Don't know what Dungeons of Fortune are, but I want one now. It sounds provocative. No, it's interesting. I definitely would. It's cool to see NFT mints cooking on base for sure. That part would be positive to me. But yeah, no, definitely an interesting day as we have, I think, nervous markets that are waiting to figure stuff out. But that said, I think good opportunity to bring on our special guests here in just a second.
We had their brand account on stage. We lost it. I don't know. If you want to get back up, feel free. Just take a lap with that account. We're happy to pull it back up on stage if you'd like.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to bring the brand up, but let's bring in Teaser Tom and J Rob J, To the Moon Cards. They've been on the show before, have not been on the stream before. They were streaming long before us because they are streamers by nature. But gentlemen, good to have you on the show. I know you've been on the show before, but we have a lot of new listeners who have come in. So I want to start with Jay, then I'll go to Tom here. Give a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into what To the Moon is, and then we'll talk about this exciting news that you have coming down and the value of hard work and keeping grinding.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks so much for having us. Background by trade is an engineer by day, but then a passionate collector by night. So, when the Web3 space came about, I was just really excited about the intersection of Web3 and physical collectibles. Just always had a passion for collecting cards and all kinds of things. And then just was really invested into how the blockchain could really change the collectibles world. And we've started to see that come about. And then Tom, over to you.
Yeah. So Tom Gervasio, by day, I own businesses. At night, we're streamers and we're passionate about the collectibles industry, especially like Jay mentioned, the cross section, digital and physical. We do a lot of physical card openings on To the Moon cards, and we're co-owners, and it's been about 2 years now that we've been doing that, streaming multiple times a week.
How'd you guys meet? You're both V friends. Was it through that community? Like, talk about like the background of that, and then talk a little bit about To the Moon cards.
Yeah, it was definitely through V Friends. Through V Friends cards specifically. Jay's the godfather of V Friends card collecting, and my entry point was in the Series 2 cards, and really I think our friendship and partnership in business started at VCon, the second VCon, the one in Indianapolis, VCon 2023.
I didn't
Where
realize
we met for the first time.
I didn't realize that was where you guys first met, because I do remember there was an event in New York where Jay walked in and everybody was like, "Clear the room, the competitor has arrived," when there was like a tournament going on. That somebody, I don't remember it was a Cats event or what it was, but it was somebody who was running that. But I didn't realize you guys didn't meet or didn't really get things going until VCon 2. How does that start? Like, how does that become like a business that you're like how do you go from like, hey, we're just friends, or good to meet you, dude, or good to meet you in person, to we're doing so? Because I know for me and Cap, it was totally by accident, and we're just here, just still doing this.
Yeah.
So we have different versions. Jay, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
it. I think, long story short, like I was a big collector of the V Friends card series, and VCon was a great example. I had Gary was kind enough to give me a space at VCon to sell and kind of trade, and just had this spot for card collectors inside VCon, and but I was not the outgoing personality streamer type, right? I was more of the closet collector, rip boxes on your own in your basement kind of thing. And Tom was more of Tom had started his own thing with ripping cards on stream, and his outgoing personality, his humor, his on-screen charisma, just like, we figured if we combine those two things, the background in collecting and the knowledge of the cards, and then his great personality, the two come together, we could make something really awesome. And that's kind of where we're at now.
What's your version, Tom? Outgoing, gregarious? It doesn't sound like you, right? It's yeah.
Not at all. No, so yeah, I was streaming for a few months before VCon, so had a very small following at that point. But I mean, we were talking in a group chat that was set up by just VFriend card enthusiasts. There was a few at the time, and we were all in a group chat, and that's where we first became aware of each other. But then I started streaming, and then he had asked me to kind of join him at the booth, and that was just such a blast. We hit it off. I didn't go with the intention of having a business partner. And then you fast forward after VCon, I kept streaming, and then I think it was towards the end of July or August that we were like, let's make this official and do it, because I've been streaming, and I'm been able to sell cards and do breaks and all of that, and so I need inventory to sell. Jay's like, well, I have a boatload of cards that I'm looking to sell, but no platform to do it on. So it just kind of fit, and us living about less than an hour away from each other randomly really helped. And our families we have kids around the same age and all that. It just kind of all worked out.
That's a fascinating click, and it's always one of those funny things where it's like a token on the internet caused you to meet somebody who becomes like one of your best friends and business partners, who, by the way, was effectively in your own backyard on both of you, right? I mean, you're less than an hour away from each other by pure coincidence. So that's, I always love those stories about Web3, where it's like, there's people I've met in my hometown similarly who are 20 minutes from me, who I never met before Web3. And then I meet them and we end up hanging out and becoming friends. So I think it's a really cool story and cool background. With that said, like, give like the full background. So you stream, you're selling cards. I want to hear about, To the Moon cards a little bit more before we get into like the news of the day. And then a little bit about like what it's like when you start seeing like Teacher Katie's in the chat being like GM To the Moon cards in all caps. And there's people like you're recognized within the Community. Gary's making jokes about you guys on stage at the last VCon when we had the Uno tournament. which was a fun one. I got unceremoniously bounced at the first table. I guess like talk about like doing To the Moon cards, the reception it got, the way it started to take off. Because I think like you start by just doing something you like, and then it just so happens to take off.
Yeah. So like I said, there was a small group chat of us, and it started off with, we would take our hits from when we open boxes privately, when Jason is being a basement ripper, and he'll post some polls, and I pulled some polls, and then I started videoing myself and recording the reaction if I got a big poll in the cards. And then, I was also super into gaming, Call of Duty, Warzone, all that. So I was a Twitch user as a viewer. And I was like, let me figure this Twitch thing out, and maybe we can all kind of celebrate and enjoy the polls together. And that's kind of how the stream started. It was called something else because we weren't To the Moon. Jay created To the Moon for that booth at VCon. But so I started streaming, and then I started pulling clips from it. 5-6 people in there watching. I would pull a clip from a big poll, post it on Twitter, and more people would be like, oh, that's cool. Where can I find this? And, just kind of rinse and repeat. Then at VCon, I was like, the amount of reception I got, from maybe 20, 30 people that are like, oh, I've seen your clips. I was like, let me go in on this. And I ended up buying 40 boxes of cards there. They're $155 a box, which is crazy now because they're about 400.
Some degen shit right there, though. It's just like, oh yeah, you know what? Like, I got some pretty good reception. Send it. I like that.
Yep. I met a very young face Adam Rips there and didn't know who he was, or maybe like talked to him once before that. And I was like, listen, can I get 40 boxes, but I don't want them here. Can you ship them to my house? He was like, here's email this email, and we'll get it sent to you. So that's what happened. I was made fun of for paying up to $155 a box at the time, because that was a ripoff, which is, again, hilarious to think about now. But, after that, when I had that inventory, I started to try to get creative. Like, what can we do to get more people involved? I started bringing people up on screen, doing community box battles where you buy half a box and battle someone else who bought the other half a box for a prize. And it was one of those streams that Gary ended up tweeting, texting, putting in the Discord, all of that, like, hey, hop in here if you want to learn about VFriends cards. And I watched the viewership go from like 20 to 30 to 800. And that's still the most we've had on stream at the same time. But he was in chat. Chat was flying. I was red-faced because I just been streaming for like 3 months at the time. Gary's apparently telling me to talk about the cards. I can't see any comments because they're flying. And so it took like 10 minutes and someone calling my cell phone to let me know, like, dude, Gary's asking you to go over the cards. So that was a huge night. And from there, you had an opportunity. Like, Gary said some not so great comments, like, you're fumbling this, biggest fumble, because I couldn't see his comments. So I was like, here's an opportunity. I had not been a big poster on X, and I was still new to streaming. That I was like, let me take this as an opportunity. What would Gary do? And I took clips of every comment he said, like, what a miss, you're fumbling, all those types of things. There was a whole bunch. And made a video and pretended like I was super upset and I was going to quit streaming because of it. And then halfway through, completely flipped it, gave it right back to Gary. And it got a lot of attention there. And to the point where, Gary didn't watch the video because he DM'd me and was like, I'm so sorry if you took it the wrong. I was like, dude, watch the video. And then he was like, oh my God, thank God. Because he thought he offended me. And it just kind of, from there, I was like, this is going to be the angle I do. Is kind of like that fun banter back and forth, and we've maintained that relationship. Gary, that's why Gary calls Jay a 10 out of 10 and me a 4 out of 10, like he did last night or 2 nights ago on Whatnot. It's still the relationship we have, and he's been such a big supporter, and he buys into breaks, and he still will retweet a stream announcement so that we get more viewers. Their channel raids ours on Whatnot. It's been unbelievable. So 2 years later, we're still going strong.
It's funny, like, and I think the personality fits you, right? Like, you're a guy who can play that game a little. You Italian? You're an Italian guy, right?
Italian from New York. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm half Italian. My whole family's from New York. It's like that's like a lane that we can play in together and have that fun, right? And kind of like give it back and forth. And Jay, you mentioned you're an engineer by trade. You're a little bit quieter, so like you being the 10 out of 10 and just kind of like the steady Eddie. It's like it's almost like you have that juxtaposition that you need in that sort of business relationship, which I think is really cool. And Jay, I want to get your take on this. Like you guys have mentioned, Gary a few times. Obviously, Andy's over there as well. People like Jeremy as well. How critical, because one of the things we talk about is like the ability for founders to communicate and support community builders, and they really shined a light on you guys. Obviously, you took advantage of it, like the content that you talk about that you put out, Tom, and sort of Jay setting up the booth and showing up and making sure everything's professional. You have jerseys, you do all your stuff, but how critical do you see that support from a founder like a Gary or someone like an Andy to be like, you know what, like let's sort of further support this thing and fan the flames? I'm curious your take on that.
Yeah, the whole VFriend staff, they're really aware. Like they're always watching, and I don't think it's just us. I think they support a lot of the community in general. They show up to spaces, they promote people's content, and I'm grateful for it. Like, I mean, it's helped us stay really relevant in that world, and they continue to surprise and delight us. Like, VFriends is coming out with a Topps Chrome release here, which is a major deal for the brand and the cards themselves. And I think they called us a few weeks ago and offered us to do a sketch card in the Topps Chrome release. And little things like, I mean, that actually wasn't I shouldn't call that a little thing. That was a big deal. Like I was floored by that. So Tom and I did a sketch card in that, and it's just continuing to give us these little opportunities, sometimes big opportunities. Tom and I are really intentional about not asking for things. Like we rather VFriends do what they feel like is appropriate and how they want to give us flowers. And we're not ones to really like, hey, can you do this for us? Gary, can you do this? Like, that's not really our style, and it's worked really well for us. And I think we let the brand do what they want to do, and they've been incredibly generous. And I value all those relationships there so much. They're all really precious to us. And it's been fun, like, seeing Jeremy go from a community member to a staff member and just being there from the beginning and seeing the evolution of the brand and being just a small piece of that is just, it's crazy to think about now.
Yeah, you are part of the brand. It is very interesting to think about the fact that Tom, I saw you're going to get in here, so I'll let you get in here in a second. But it's really interesting when you say that, because like I had a conversation with someone yesterday. We did this thing, ApeCon. It went all day. It like ended up, with a ton of like did pretty well, like better than we ever expected. And I got a message from someone saying like, you guys have contributed to the value of the Bored Ape ecosystem and the brand, and you feel like you're part of something. You feel like you are not, like I used to say, like in Web 1, you were the consumer, you bought stuff. In Web 2, you're the product, they sold your information. And in Web 3, if you really give it a go, you are part of the brand. And like, I do feel like that. And Tom, I'll let you kind of get on with the sort of VFriends question. I don't want to take you too off track because I saw you jumping in there, but like, it's kind of cool to think of yourself as like part of that sort of brand of somebody that you went from a community member to like people associate that with you.
Yeah. It's pretty unbelievable. And it's a true honor. One of the biggest honors of my life, because, seeing the Catfish, which is the character that I've associated myself with from the beginning. I own the 1 of 1 gold, and, the Catfish making a comic book, and, next to the, exactly.
There you are.
I don't particularly love that pin.
Teacher Katie sent it to me though. So all love.
Oh, well, Teach is the best. She can do no wrong.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in when Jay was talking about Jeremy. He's probably sick of me doing it, but I couldn't care less. They're literally like, Gary has amplified to the moon, helped us grow and continues to help us grow, but there wouldn't not be at all a To the Moon, or at least that involves me, without Jeremy. I would have not streamed. He was encouraging. I went to him, asked him a few questions. So I would not have done a single post stream or anything without Jeremy. So shout out to Jeremy. That's all I was going to add before.
No, one of our faves here as well. He's here every single day. He jumps up a lot, and he's somebody that he's not a lot of people have my cell phone number in this space, and he's one of them. So he's a good egg. But that said, like y'all have, with that background, y'all have some pretty big news coming out from your work. And again, one of the things I appreciate this, and we'll dig in more on it, because I also like to impart sort of lessons onto listeners for people like yourselves who were, look, you have day jobs and you worked on things, but you've managed to build this thing up to the point where now you've got a pretty cool deal. Can you talk a little bit about the news that y'all are sharing and what's coming up in the next several months?
Yeah, so we're V friends through and through, but we also have this cards and collectibles company. We're not, limited to just one IP. And so when we saw Pudgy Penguins was coming out with a trading card game as well, we were like, this is again right in our wheelhouse. It's the cross section of digital and physical collectibles in the Web3 space. So reached out to the team at Orange Cap Games, which is a TCG game maker company led by Pudgy holder Spencer, and what an awesome guy, by the way. And they were very, very open to collaborating, and they came up with this game called Vibes, physical card game that has an online version. The creators of the game and the owners of Orange Cap are competitive, like almost world competitive champion Magic the Gathering players. So they created a game inspired by Magic that's more accessible, more they say, I don't play Magic, but there's the graveyard and a lot of dark undertones. So they're like, instead of the graveyard, let's make it the ice. And, instead of this, they'll make the huddle, and instead of killing, you vibing. So they created this game called Vibes, and I don't know how aware everyone is of it, but it's a very, very fun game, quite addicting. As someone who was not a traditional TCG player, I find myself playing it. Whoever was on before us talking about how addictive they were to that game, that's how I am with Vibes. I find myself with a spare 15 minutes, I'm jumping on and hopping on a game on the online version. And we were invited to their headquarters to play the physical game. It's also such a blast. Tournaments, we're playing in one tomorrow. But so we started to do some breaks and collaborate with them, and then continue to grow the relationship with the team over at Orange Cap, and that's kind of led to our next venture. And Jay, you can take it from there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Tom and I have struggled with along the way is we do these streams usually twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And, if you're not familiar with the Whatnot platform, check it out. It's fast-paced social shopping, essentially. We go on, we live stream, but have a shopping component to it where you can buy cards and we can rip packs for you in the moment. And I think one of the things that we've struggled with is inventory, right? Like VFriends, up until this Top Chrome's release, hasn't really done a retail product that you see on a store shelf, right? And so we've had to scour Discord and different layers of the internet to get boxes of cards. And not just that, I mean, in general, like the trading card market is very controlled by a few big distributors, and they are really old school in their thinking, and they really focus on traditional brick and mortar card shops, right? And Tom and I, and Gary's been preaching this too, we see the growth of this social shopping, whether it be TikTok or Instagram or whatnot. We see that explosion happening right before our eyes. And it's like, we really felt that the next version of what To the Moon is up to is going to be around fulfilling that need for inventory, support, and all the things that go into creating a trading card stream. And so we have partnered with Vibes from Orange Cap Games to be distributors exclusively to online streamers for their next release, Legend of the Littles, coming out this summer. So we will be gathering people from all over to hopefully have them purchase a product from us, purchase these trading cards from us at a wholesale price. So we are able to offer wholesale to people that use Whatnot as a platform, whether it's their full-time job or whether it's a side gig or just something they do in the evenings. We'll be able to provide them inventory at a price that makes them competitive in that space. And so we feel like that's going to check a box for a lot of people that are really trying to grow something, and we'll be that supplier there. But we also envision this as being not just, hey, here's some product, but Tom and I want to provide coaching. We want to educate on how to break these particular cards. We want to partner with other IPs to bring their IP to the social platform. So we couldn't be more excited and grateful for Orange Cap for kind of taking a chance on us as we embark on this new endeavor, and allowing us to sell to this really unique market. It's going to be a really fun summer. Yeah.
How do you, so this is really fucking cool. And I'm very happy for y'all. And one of the reasons it's really cool to see is it's cool to see like people who showed up, did it because they loved it, get recognition. That's pretty cool. Don't take it for granted. I think one of the things you said earlier that I want to like double tap on that I meant to at the time is you don't take the support for granted. And I think so many people do, where it's not like you get entitled because you got a little bit of love. It's like, hey, if we get extra support, that's pretty cool. And the community recognizes that, and it's been sort of a fan to the flames, but you're going to keep doing what you're doing, regardless of whether Gary or Adam or anybody else is supporting. Like, it's not going to stop you from doing what you're doing, which I think is really respectable. So you are now sort of doing sort of this B2B, B2C combo gig, right? Where you're doing sort of the ripping and you're also sort of teaching people and training them. But before that, it's like, explain to somebody in the audience who maybe is like spinning up their business. You've had success sort of, you know, not convincing, but getting recognized by the VFriends community. And now you've managed to pitch, you know, maybe one of the major faces of Web3 and Pudgy Penguins on having you be part of a very important distribution moment for them. So how do you sell in a pitch like that? Obviously, without giving too much, but if like you're recommending to people how you have that conversation, you shot your shot, which I think is a great, you know, just that alone is great advice, because so many people are afraid to even shoot the shot. Like, you're never going to know. But how do you sell that through to say, like, look, we've been doing this. We have the goods. Like, I know you guys would have been good enough for it, but this is a cold DM. How do you have that conversation or even breach it? And then how do you get that across the goal line?
Yeah, it's the original thing that started all was a cold DM to the main Vibes account. But fast forward after a successful, you know, bunch of streams and onboarding and promotion, you know, they were holding a tournament, an in-person game tournament at their HQ, and we were like, we got to go. You know, they invited us, and it was an open invite, but you know, they were like, it'd be cool if you guys came. They let us come early. We did some content around it, and while we were there, we were like, hey, can we get a couple minutes? And like I mentioned, they're very, very open to just talking, collaborating. They welcomed ideas, and we said we have one, and so we sat down at their office in New York City and kind of just talked about it. And we said, listen, there's a gap in the market. There are people that would love to talk about Vibes, to open it, to show gameplay, share strategies, show deck builds, and why this one works and why these cards are great. And, you know, Jay mentioned there's some old fashioned views. I mean, it's working for them, but you know, Tops won't distribute directly to streamers unless you're doing it 40, 50 hours a week. And it being a full-time gig, it's very weighed towards brick and mortar stores. So, you know, we just kind of explained what Jay said, is that, you know, as a streamer for a few years now and kind of got to know this business a little bit, you know, the number one thing about becoming a successful streamer where you can afford and make any money to continue to build and do it, because you have to keep upgrading as you go, is getting product at a price point that you can make a margin on. You know, a lot of these things are mass produced, so why buy from you at a higher price? You know, it just doesn't make sense. So it all comes down to what you buy, and then also knowing the product well. There are a lot of people that know these trading card games, but they know it inside and out, but they can't buy the product at a price. So, you know, we just kind of said, you know, if there was someone that could provide distribution at a wholesale price or below retail price to streamers exclusively, if you look that up, there's no one doing that. So it just felt like, you know, if we're all kind of moving forward in this Web3 world, you know, social, live commerce, shopping, and all of that, it feels like it's a no-brainer. So we were like, let's let's try to be at the forefront of that. And they were so receptive to it. They loved the idea, and just a few more conversations, and they agreed.
So the business model effectively lets them take like distribution in this particular audience out of their hands. Y'all can manage that. And what it does is it lets those maybe streamers that, aren't getting 1,000 people, but are getting 100 people or 50 people to say, you were left off the table before. You sat at the kids' table, the adults' table gets the wholesale, and you get what comes down. Now everybody's getting to come to the table. So if there's somebody out there listening who's a streamer, who's a collector, who says either A, I want this at a wholesale price to stream, or B, is it possible if someone says, I just want to buy 10 boxes from you at a wholesale price and I want to break them on stream, but I'm not going to sell them? Or is it specifically for resellers and you want to make sure, like, who are the people that you would say should reach out to you if they're like, hey, I want to get involved in this when this drops?
Yeah, the target is definitely people who are reselling and doing breaks, because the goal is it's good for Orange Cap and Vibes, because then they're going to see their product on more streams, and that's what benefits them. It also benefits the streamer to do so, because they can make money and do it. We're not trying to sell to wholesale for people to just get cheap product, because that's not the goal. It is meant for more exposure. So anyone who streams really of any size, or even has aspirations of streaming to do breaks because they're passionate about cards or vibes or anything related, that's who we're targeting. But looking to talk about it and explain it. And if you don't know, part of the service is to do a call or a one sheet of education of here's how many cards there are. Here's the chases for the collectible people, because there's two modes of collecting in this. For Vibes is the gameplay aspect for people who want to be aggressively good players, and then the collectability, because there's chase cards that are worth lots of money, $5,000+ transactions for a single card, which is real. I mean, go check eBay, sold listings, they're there. So we can show you exactly what to look for, why certain cards are more collectible or better for gameplay or whatever, so that you can then convey it with knowledge to your viewers. So that's also part of the service, which is not offered currently.
So you're outsourcing education a little bit as well, right? Like, I mean, you mentioned helping people stream and helping them with different tips on that, but part of it is, if someone's streaming, because like, to your point, so my kids like ripping packs. They have no idea what chase items are. They just get excited. I'm like, cool. I got a Pokemon like box the other day from BZ. I know your Courtyard guys, but from BZ, it's a sponsor, so I got to shout it out. But like, I got a box in the mail, and my kids ripped them open, and I put every single one in like penny sleeves because I just want to make sure anything that was shiny looking. But like, we don't know what's a value. They don't care. But like, in this world, it's like I could buy a Vibes pack, a Vibes 2-pack, by the way. I've got plenty of these. But like, buy a Vibes pack, rip them open, and you'll be like, these are chase cards if you're ripping it for this reason. These are cards you want in the game for this reason. This is what you can educate your audience on. If you're doing breaks specifically where people are buying parts of boxes or individualized cards, they're going to know if they get a really exciting item. So it's like the idea of like when you're pulling a card and you see like the card go away and everybody goes, ape shit on the stream because it's a good one. They're going to know how to do that because you're well educated and well versed on the game. So that's part of the service you're saying, right? Like somebody can say, hey, I'm buying this wholesale, and you'll help them learn everything they need to know.
Yeah, I think some of that comes from passion. I think like Tom and I really made this pact. Like, we're not going to sell something that we don't really enjoy ourselves. And so like, we are actually playing this game, playing in tournaments. I'm driving 2 hours tomorrow to play in a tournament, right? Like, this is sincere. This is not just like how much product can we unload. Like we really love this brand, and we wouldn't associate, and sell something we weren't passionate about. And so, a lot of this education comes natural to us because like we are players of the game. We are grading the cards. We are chasing the promo cards. Like, that's just who we are. And so it's really natural for us. It's not something that we're really struggling to do. And I think that passion will come through when we work with people. Yeah.
Is that the Cherry Hill, New Jersey tournament tomorrow?
That's right. It is, Top Deck Games. Yep.
Is that open? So I pinned it up top. If someone's listening in, they'd like to also join you. Is it open to the public?
It is. No registration. Just pop in tomorrow. You need to bring a deck.
I say, do they need a deck to be, or can they buy that there?
You can buy stuff
there. Yeah, but ideally coming with the deck is ideal. I know it's last minute, but yeah, it's going to be a fun event.
Yeah, but don't be don't not come because you don't have cards prior. They do they sell starter decks so that you can so that you have something that you can play right out the gate. And even though, it might not be the strongest deck in the tournament, it's still worth it to learn the game. There's $1,000 prize, I believe, and it's really an education event. They do learn to play at these stores, and they have a great team that travels around and does these events at these big stores to teach the game and onboard people, and that's kind of what this is. People will see the excitement in playing the game. It's a ton of fun. And just going back, shout out to Beezy. We're fans of Beezy too. I bought several Vibes boxes on Beezy.
Education one, yes, I wholeheartedly agree. We also talk so often about the power of in real life on this show. And I mean, you guys are proof of that. Like, you just shared how an in real life event similar to the one you're talking about tomorrow led to this opportunity with that we're talking about today. So I think that's the other piece. Even if you're, curious about the game, or, you don't have a pack, but if you're excited about streaming, if something you want to get into, it's not my world, but I can attest to what you're all saying. I actually got pitched. I saw a pitch deck last month, maybe. Companies raising, it's not all public yet, so I can't share all the details. But long story short, it's what you guys were saying about the distribution and how that I don't want to call it a monopoly, but it's a near monopoly by these brick and mortar retail stores. And the pitch deck I saw was a company out of the UK coming to the States to open 2 or 3 retail stores just to sell cards. And they're bringing streamers into that environment because exactly what you said, the streamers can't get the cards out, by themselves at a whole. So it's this is a scenario of even though I'm not in that space, absolutely realize that you're solving a real challenge in that industry today, that there's a lot more people that want to participate that simply don't have access. Not to be cheesy and pull out they're democratizing, but yeah, this is another example about this is democratizing an industry to some degree, to where it's a real issue where, again, this deck I saw was tens of millions of dollars this company's raising. They've got athletes on board, and because this opportunity is so massive that you guys are helping solve for.
Yeah, we think we're early. We think we've got a good opportunity to be one of the first at it, and we're going to continue to grow and look at other IPs. If this sounds attractive to you and you've been listening and you say, hey, I stream on Whatnot or TikTok or whatever, tothemooncards.com, you'll see right on our homepage is a link. It's a Google form to fill out, just expressing interest. We're not quite ready to go live with all the details yet, but you will be on our contact list if this interests you. So right on our homepage, tothemooncards.com. Sign up, put your info in there. We don't ask for much, and we'll be in touch. Yeah.
It's really interesting to me, to hear this idea of this model that you're building for something that sort of doesn't exist. And I think it's just a really good example of where we're going streaming wise, where we're going with the internet, where we're going with sort of this break culture, where it's the empowerment of the many instead of the empowerment of the few. And I think that it's a really interesting North Star that you have. And one of the crazy parts is, there is a very high probability at some point you're going to talk to someone who's going to become a big streamer, who's, you know what I mean? That idea that you could lead to someone else having your level of success right after you, that's a pretty cool way that you could empower that person who maybe previously didn't know how. By the way, I can also attest, even if you don't have a deck, I've gone to VFriends, compete and collect games that I've done without a set of cards, and it's a great welcoming environment. You learn the game, you watch people play. I will say, Tom and Jay are going to look at you when I play Halo and there's a guest on the other team, the way I look at them. If you roll in with the starter deck, that's how they're looking at you for the game. So just be ready. It's Lions fan 69 and Lions fan 69-1 walk in the room. You're like, okay, I'm going to win this match. And then sometimes they surprise you and their friends are sharking. You're like, shit. But no, very cool that you're doing that. So again, if you're out there and you're interested in this, obviously, To The Moon Cards, reach out to Jay, reach out to Tom. They're both obviously very receptive as well, and very communicative on how they do things. They do go to I think the Gary School of how to interact in business, and I think that they do that well. So is the goal you think this is a business you can grow long term? Is that the goal, to be hey, we got Vibes now, let's knock that one out of the park. Now we have a use case. Let's go to the net. And so is the goal to continue to go down the road with other cards? Like what other cards would you want to do this with potentially? What other cardboard would you want to get into?
Yeah, we've we still have that interest in Web3. Like we've got a bunch of Azuki TCGs on pre-order, right? We were able to secure a lot of those. We see that being a big possible IP for us, and we would love to sell their product. And I think, VFriends is just getting started. Like that's going to continue to be big for us. We have a tremendous amount of Topps Chrome inventory coming in. And we hope to see updates possibly to their TCG later this year. But the Pokemon space, for example, is super competitive and super saturated. We're really looking for those IPs that are willing to be a little creative with us and kind of test out this new way of distribution. So it's not going to be the right fit for every IP, and we're okay with that. But yeah, I think the other thing that we struggle with is our time, right? We can only stream really twice a week. Like if we had the capacity, Tom and I could stream 5 days a week, 6 days a week, but we don't have that capacity, right? So we can grow this side of the business and a lot better on our own time. When we have an hour here, we can grow that part of the business. And so yeah, this is where we're headed. I think we've reached our capacity on live streaming, but this part really excites us for growth reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, we love live streaming, right? We have so much fun. I say it all the time because I'll sip some drinks while we're streaming, and this is my version of going out, and having a drink with friends, because we just have a great time. But like Jay mentioned, there's a ceiling there, and we're pretty much at it with our current schedule. So if the business was just us streaming and buying and reselling cards, it's a fun side hustle. And this is how we saw it after 2 years of streaming. This was always kind of our goal to grow. And unlike the $10 million raise and buying the stores and all that, it's just the two of us. We've never done anything beyond that. So while we are just how we're targeting small to mid-size streamers, we're targeting small to mid-size or startup IPs and trading cards. And hopefully we can, like you said, have success with these IPs, Orange Cap and Vibes being the first one, our first client, and then it can hopefully we crush it and knock it out the park, and then someone else wants to do it because we did such a good job. So, and we're having those conversations now, already setting up for the second client. So yeah, that's the goal.
It's very cool. And I think a couple things I'll say in it, and then I'll kind of ask one more question. I'll let you all get out of here. I appreciate the, you coming through, because I admire people who have a passion, who build, who have, and I just like good people. Like I could see you two being pumped if somebody becomes bigger than all of us who you train on pudgy cards. Like you wouldn't be like, oh, why them and not us? You'd be like, yo, that's awesome. And so that type of person is the person I like to see succeed. So I love hearing this. And I think it's cool that it's like you're in this unique position where you understand this world of the Azuki, the VFriends, and the Pudgy. So there's not a lot of people who exist in that world with a real passion, because people like to fake passion in bull markets, for example. But people you can only fake it for so long, right? Yeah. And so there's a true passion there. There's a real you want to do this thing. And I think really doubling down on your niche and understanding where you have that strength is really cool. And you just happen to have complementary skill sets with the two of you, which makes it really, I think, a well-rounded team, right? When you're not the same person, but you're actually very you have those complementary skill sets and how you approach things. So very cool to see. I guess for anybody who's out there, so you mentioned reach out to you if they want to, potentially be involved here, and we'll have you on again. We'll bring it up to our audience at other times and things as we go, just in case, to remind people. But reach out to you if they're interested in that. And then when is this all happening? When do the vibes, sort of second set drop? When should people be anticipating that?
Right now, projection is the end of July, this summer. So that's when second set should be landed in the country. So the communication with us getting set up will be a few months prior to that. So, the sooner the better to sign up. But the next set is projected to be here end of July, early August, something like that.
Awesome. Well, look, anything else that maybe we missed that we didn't cover this morning? Like I said, I always like giving, people like yourselves as much air cover as possible because I think it's really cool. And it's kind of been cool to watch kind of from the beginning and get really excited. And again, the content, I remember the video you're talking about, the one with Gary, that's really funny. You're streaming, you're doing Greatest Showman videos and stuff. It's there's always something fun going on. The back and forth discourse with other people in the community is very cool. Anything that we missed that we didn't cover this morning, you want to make sure people know, or any other things you want to leave us with?
I don't think so. We just are grateful for the support. You've been a longtime supporter of ours. I remember talking to you at that event, after Comic-Con that night, and just I have so much respect for what you're doing too. And thank you for the partnership and just being invested in what we're doing. It means a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys have been super generous with us, and we couldn't be more thankful for it.
Super stoked. Well, thanks for joining us today. Excited to see everything y'all are building. Exciting to be along for the ride to watch, and we'll continue to support wherever we can. And we'll definitely have you back on again over the summer at the very least to talk a little bit more about this as it gets ready for launch, to celebrate everything you'll have. If you can fit us in at that point, I'm sure you're going to be hella busy leading up to it, but we will try.
When we come back in the summer, we're ripping packs together. 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
hell yes.
yeah.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Now you're talking our language.
Jay, let's send them packs ahead of time.
Yeah.
We'll all four of us will rip together. Let's do all it.
It'll be a blast. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Can't wait. Well, thanks for joining us. We will we'll have you on again soon.
Sounds good.
Captain
Thanks,
Steve,
man.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Right on. Cap, love this. Love these sort of conversations. Love having it's cool to talk to people who are building real stuff and real businesses, and they're taking a shot, man. It's cool. It's cool the way that they're hey, let's put our money where our mouth is. You heard Teacher be I bought a gazillion boxes at 155 when people thought I was crazy. Then those things went for 400. I like people who just chase their passion, and then you see where it nets out, and they're filling a gap, the important gap that didn't exist.
Yeah, for sure. And I literally had no idea how large the gap was until about a month ago. And I ended up personally not moving forward with that, but it was not for different reasons. And just really, it's also refreshing after our opening conversation this morning that great juxtaposition. This is there's a lot of things that you can be supporting in this space. There's a lot of organizations. Shout out to VFriends and Pudgies and Spencer and that team. I don't know, not to go back to the base thing, but would love to see a little more of that as opposed to putting content on chain that doesn't need to be on chain.
Yeah, no, I'm still having that conversation with people in the reply, seeing it come through. It's interesting, man. And I think to your point, you talk about the duality of Web3 sometimes. There are people like Bread, right? Who listen to the show. Well, actually, we'll go we celebrate all Breads, actually. There is Bread, who's the dev for Billy Bets, and then there is Bread, who is working on Mega ETH. Both Breads working on something that is interesting, game-changing, noteworthy, right? That's cool to me. You talk about this conversation we had. Pudgy Vibes is an adorable online game you can play on Abstract right now. In fact, if anybody who has Pudgy Vibes, I could pull a pack right now and kind of show something real quick. We'll see if we get anything good. I'm going to do a non-traditional rip because I don't know where my scissors are. So hopefully I don't have any good cards in this pack because then I'll ruin them. Might be ruining the sketch as we speak. Normally I kind of chop the top off, but they all come with this fishsicle card, right? See this thing? You scan it and you get cards based on scanning it onto your online deck, right? So they're creating an online experience and putting trading cards online. I know I shouldn't even say this, but I know I've spoken to Andy and saying that would be awesome if we could do that one day from VFriends, right? I don't think I pulled anything super rare. This guy's kind of cool. But you talk about on-chain gaming. You talk about what they're doing to democratize sort of these are real businesses and real things. Basis for everything is not. And that's the part that frustrates me is we had these conversations yesterday with builders. Again, these 90-second pitches. There were more real world use cases of those 90-second pitches than you see on crypto Twitter ever. And everybody to a person that I talked to who was involved in ApeCon yesterday is sitting there saying, man, there's real stuff being built. There's real stuff going on. This is so awesome. I just wish we saw more of it on our timeline. And I just wish we saw more of it than the runner of the day. And I feel like Base got caught up in runner of the day and being like, it's a meme coin, but a bigger thumbnail. And I just, that part to me is what throws me off, and just like trying to explain it and have this launch moment. It was a complete miss for me. And again, juxtapose that with what we're seeing here, and it's just completely different. So I don't know, Cap. I know we got about 10 minutes left here. I am still cooked from yesterday. I didn't have a whole lot of news outside of the Base thing had a bee in my bonnet this morning, so I commented on it probably a day late. I know I probably missed all of like the hot takeries that were going on yesterday. Like you said, I don't think I'm important enough to be acknowledged by your guy Jesse, so I'll probably remain a little bit in the shadows there. And by the way, like again, like there's zero ego about recognition. It's more about the fact of like, I feel like if it's certain people, there's probably going to be a response, and there's certain people it's not, right? And we've seen that. And there's certain people in this space where I've had this situation where I'm not going to say who, but there are people in this space who, when we were up and coming content creators, they didn't want very much to do with us. And it's always stuck in the back of my head, certain conferences, certain places that always stuck in the back of my head. I'm not a grudge holder. I'm never going to hold it against someone, and I'm always going to be willing to get there. But it is a funny moment when, I don't know, like I've had these moments enough where it's like you have people who are like, oh yeah, not necessarily important enough for me. So I don't know, Cap, but we'll see if we get any replies or anything. I did kind of like go at him a little bit, which I do feel bad. It was just expressing my opinion, but realizing that I probably could have said like, gotten out of the Twitter spat thing there, but maybe that was a little bit of a too much ad hominem shot there. But I don't know, man. Like I feel like they made the Pump.Fun founder, like, we are not Pump Fun people. They made the Pump Fun founder be like, yeah, that guy makes a lot of sense to us. Like, that alone should be telling you what you need to say, right?
Yeah. Everyone's free to their own opinions. If you want to buy the thing, buy the thing. If you don't want to buy the thing, don't buy the thing. I just think that leaders in this space, Coinbase is certainly one of them, Base is certainly one of them, should be held to somewhat of a higher standard. When the vision is onboarding the next billion people, I think this is not congruent with that goal, in my opinion. Or maybe it is, maybe Elon had it right. It's just the timing is way off, man. Read the room. Like, people not here do not want this. A lot of people here do not want this. It's just, it's maybe it was all about the how it was launched versus what it actually is, but
I still think what it actually is trash. Like, I'm sorry,
zero.
like it's
zero. I have zero interest in. That's why I haven't even like dove into. It is a non-starter. I have no interest whatsoever. There's so much other exciting stuff, and it's frustrating to me that this is what Jesse and Coinbase and Base are choosing to promote and stand up
and spend their time on. It's like I just don't like. Again, like, this product is very niche specifically for pump fund type gamblers to go in. By the way, I saw somebody say that I think 62% of the supply got sniped right when it was dropped too, which also means that they're getting like, so it's a shit coin. And okay, just call it a meme coin. Like, just call it a meme coin. And like, I know it's content coin. They're trying to create a new category, but like, I just don't see what's so profound about this compared to a meme coin, which I'm not a meme coin fan, but I say do what you want with your money. I think it's silly. I don't think it's bringing on the masses. I've been very consistent with that the masses don't want to do speculative gambling. Like, that's just not what they're wanting to do. Casinos exist, but you go to a casino, you sit down, you play blackjack for an hour. It's a little bit different than being like, yeah, minimum buy-in of a couple $100 to have any sort of like meaningful opportunity. Oh, it's like $42. People don't think of $200 is a lot of money in this space. That is a lot of money. People buy and sell and flip things like to make $10, $20, $30 and add it up over time. Like, that is normal behavior for people. So like, people just don't want to, like, the masses don't want to come in for meme coins the same way the masses aren't going to want to come in for content coins. Like, it's not a logical product to me. And it's like, to your point about like, I think you call it like lost the plot. Like, I think Base is like, hey, lost the plot. And it makes me sad because they have things like Ethos. And if you want to say Kaido, again, I'm not a believer in Kaido, but if you want to talk about Kaido as a product, great. I don't understand how there are more
I mean,
NFTs.
and just to defend Kaido for a second, like they have a real product. You may not find value in the product. People are paying thousands of dollars for said product. Like businesses are buying the product to use the product. There's something there.
Yes.
No one is buying a content coin because of the utility they're receiving from content coin. No one is buying a content coin because they want to collect it. Very few are buying because they want to collect it. The overwhelming majority are buying it purely to speculate on it. Like 99.9% of the other things, it's going to go to zero at some point. It's just a matter of how quick and how bad the top buyers get burnt.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like Kaido, to be fair, I've never said Kaido isn't a viable business. They charge 6 figures to get people to talk about, to do better marketing for their clients than most firms will, right? They toss the fish food into the pond. All the fish go to one area. They toss the fish food in another area. They go to that area. Like Kaido does a good job, like distributing that and getting people to talk because they're getting airdrops. They deliver for their clients. Absolutely. To your point. And that's built on base.
Service. It's like almost like white, like it's a different form of marketing. Some of these brands could do themselves. They've basically white labeled attention marketing on the timeline. They've white labeled X farming as in a form of marketing for other businesses. Like they have built something that others have done similar things in the past themselves internally. Others could also do. However, you have real businesses in this space that see the value in cutting massive checks to Kaido because what they do offer is challenging. It's like, it's hard to do well. And they certainly haven't like perfected what they're doing yet. However, like they've got millions of dollars in real revenue that businesses have paid them because they value their product.
Yeah, it's funny. You I heard you correct yourself there.
You do?
You dropped a little. You're like, because what they do, yeah, a good do drop is always good. But yeah, like I like again, like Kaido has value as a marketing tool. Exactly, be epic. That's what I'm saying. Like, good. You want to use Kaido as a marketing tool, it makes sense. But like you have Base as a company, and it's like, how is it that there's no real NFTs I want to mint on Base, but yet 8chain is crushing that game? How is there no games that I want to play on Kaido, but yet Abstract is crushing that game? Like, how have they not capitalized on these actual existing markets that will get people excited? And this is the direction they go. And then they're not promoting products. Like, I don't see them promoting products like Ethos. I don't see them promoting products like, that are actually, like, again, Kaido is another example. I don't know, man. It throws off my perception. And I don't get it. So bums me out. It's, we'll see like where they go with it. They're doubling down on it. Jesse sarcastically arguing the timeline, going on Bankless, things like that. So we'll see. We'll see what he says. I said before, I will say it again. I've changed my mind on this show many, many times. If I have a perspective, like I'm not going to roll over, but I'm going to listen to logic and I will change my mind. And there's been times when Cap has stopped me on my tracks and I've been like, you know what, you're right. That's really good pushback. Or other people in the comments and I've been like, you're right. That's really good pushback. I will be open to hearing Jesse explain this with more context, but what I've seen on the timeline, there's nothing convincing me, and it's only further pushing me in the other direction. So, I don't know. It just seems like a weird move. And again, didn't want to spend all morning on it, but I don't get it. It's like, I guess it's worth spending all morning on it because this is like what could be the biggest onboarding, company in the space and the biggest company to push the space forward. They have a CEO who is talking to Congress and changing the way laws are governed to push things forward for crypto. They have, Stand with Base where they have text about who your pro-crypto supporting, senators and Congress people are. And then you have content coins. And I don't think it's culture. I think people are doing at the moment, my take, which again, liable to change. I'm not saying I'll stand on this. I always say this. My take right now is that people are doing mental gymnastics and backflips to try to justify a weird product. That's what I got.
It's fair. I saw we had a couple people jump up if they want to do like a rapid lightning round here. We are in the 2-minute warning, but I'll let you take it to hands if you want. And then I got like 2 random closing thoughts.
Right on. Let's get Jonah in here. Jonah, GM.
Yeah. Hi. 2 things. One, I think Base is doing this not for any. This thing goes, if you show me the incentive, I'll show you the response, right? I think that's how it goes. I could be an idiot in the morning, but people are very envious of Solana, like all the chains are. right? They're just having so much traction, so many new builders, all this thing, and people, people even like Coinbase or Base, or they like, well, we want that, and so when you have a chain like Base driving up transactions, they get even more sequencer fees, which means more money through the door, and so having a pump fund style clone with a different variation is the only way that you're going to get that level of transaction this quickly, right? That's the idea. So I think there's probably an internal desire to increase transactions, which means you have to do these sort of things. That's my guess, and that's probably why they're defending it, because of the money. If there was no money being made in this, they wouldn't defend it. But I guarantee it did pick up transactions and therefore more sequencer fees. I think the second part.
Yeah, but does it last?
No, but I don't think that's what they're optimizing for. And I also think that CT has been so saturated that I don't think almost any chain cares what Twitter thinks anymore. I think they just do what they need to do to get their transactions up, and then they care about other channels. Like the TikToks, the CNBCs, the YouTubes of the world is where they want to go next. So I think you're going to see more chains act in a, let's say, ethically questionable manner to get the transactions they need and farm CT and then go advertise somewhere else, because the CT market has just been tapped. Like it's overly tapped. It's saturated. And so these businesses don't care about their representation on Twitter as much. For example, look at Ripple. I mean, almost every CT influencer calls Ripple a scam, and yet they don't care. They keep going up, and all their followers who are not on Twitter, for the most part, are happier than a pig in shit. So they don't really give a shit what Twitter thinks about them, and neither does the
they got some followers on Twitter. Say something bad about Ripple, and you'll know pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, maybe now, but when it kind of first started, that wasn't. I mean, at least from what I remember, that wasn't really the case. But there's more people against Ripple on Twitter than there are supporters.
Fair.
And I'd say the same thing for any chain other than Solana, which is why other chains are envious. There's more supporters than haters for Solana. They just hit product market fit or customer market fit faster than anyone else. I think the other thing is, so I decided to mint my own content coin just to see what the process was like. I don't believe in the coining everything mission. That being said, I hate the name, but Zora is really well made. Like, to give them credit where credit's due, right? You build a bomb, it's still a great bomb, right? It was even easier than Pump Fund, by the way. Like, easier than Pump Fund, which was crazy. I uploaded a video, and then it said, how much of that coin do you want to receive? And there's like a limit on how much you can take. And then it just approves it on your Phantom wallet, and then you press send, and that's it. And then the coin's generated. And it like has like a market maker and everything. It's a really well made app. That doesn't mean it's the right app to be made in the world, but man, they did a great job with it.
Two things on that. Like, one, I mean, like tangentially, and two, like tangentially, whenever I hear Zora, all I can think of is Zora's domain in Breath of the Wild.
Terrible name. Yeah, terrible name.
Just makes me think of them. Go ahead.
I said I think of Zara, like the fast fashion company.
Yeah, it's not a. But yeah, no, I agree. And
I think it's Warrior Princess.
I think there's also, there you go. Everyone's got different associations, none of which are the actual product. I think, but Zora, I think as a product, you can convince me that you tokenize things. Again, tokenizing things for fandom, tokenizing things for future utility, tokenizing things to track things. By the way, you're exactly right saying the quiet part out loud. Like, they're envious of Solana, as everybody is. I think that is absolutely true. They are trying to get the sequencer running with some with a product that gets people speculating. But they're basically just like, again, without doing it, because I know they're not securities, they're securitizing content instead of actually distributing content. It is not the same as tokenizing content. And I think that nuance matters. I do want to give a tangential thing, though, Jonah, because I actually I was going to reply yesterday, but I wanted to make sure I had my thoughts in order, because I mentioned I had a couple margaritas last night after ApeCon. So you put out a tweet with a fully made AI video, which was really good. And I'm showing it to my wife, and I grab my son, and I'm like, check it out. And I obviously knew it was fully AI, and like, you can kind of tell or whatever if you really look closely, but it's really well done. Like, and as I was showing it to my wife, I was trying to make a point. I'm showing to my wife, and she watched like the first 30 seconds. I see my son walk in the room. He's 10. I'm like, can you come over and watch this real quick? And I know it's an inappropriate video, but my kids, they watch Happy Gilmore and all sorts of inappropriate shit, so it's fine. My son watches the video, and I kid you not, in the first like probably 7 seconds, my son goes, "Oh, is this AI?" Like, he's trained at 10 to look for what AI looks like out of the gate better than my 42-year-old wife is, or better than my 41-year-old brain is. Because obviously I knew it was AI going into it, and I might speculate that, but it's good. It's really well done. I just thought it was an interesting observation, and not really a commentary on anything outside of like, it's funny how different generations look at things, because you're sitting over there, and you're like, you're making this video that I think a lot of people are like, I can't believe this is AI. And my son 7 seconds in goes, "Oh yeah, it's AI. I can tell by the texture and the style in the first 7 seconds." It's not a knock on the video. I think it's just a different way of watching how our brains are wired. So I want to share that with you.
I actually am glad that he noticed it. And we don't. So I think the problem with AI content for many people is that when people try to pass it off as real. So what I see it as is a medium of expression where when you go, by the way, this is AI, and people go, "Oh yeah," and then they go, "Wait, but this is still fucking cool." And I think that's because like, if you are trying to make content that fools people and it's done poorly and they know you're trying to be fooled, then it comes off as disingenuous and there's a negative reaction. If you're like, "By the way, this is AI and look how fucking cool this is," people go, "Oh, that is dope. Oh yeah, dude, that's funny." Like I think AI content is an evolution of memes, and people don't really realize that yet. My belief is, I mean, this is the worst the tech is ever going to be. And so I want to get ahead of it because, I run an agency, and if I can make music videos that would normally cost $1 million and do it for $500, you better believe I'm going to do it. And also, I think it's a really interesting form of creative action for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think like the point that you made too at the end there, it's like I've had this conversation, and like I don't articulate it very well, but like people are like, "Oh, AI becoming indistinguishable from real life," and "Oh, we can make these." I'm like, I don't think it matters whether it's AI. I think it matters how it gets done and what it is and what you deliver. So it's like, to your point, like I don't care if I watch when I watch a commercial and I see like, I don't know, when I watch David Hasselhoff doing a music video where he's flying through the air, I'm not like, "Oh my God, like, is he really flying through the air? It's indistinguishable from real life. Look how good that is. I wonder how they film." I'm like, no, it's a cool special effect. And he's singing, I don't know what he sings when he's flying through the air in that song. I just remember seeing it when I was in like high school or something. But like, point being, like, you don't look at it. You don't look at something on a green screen and be like, "Oh no, it's like you look at it and just say like, that's cool." Like the movie Avatar was cool. It was cool when it was in 3D. I'm not like, "Oh my God, is it really around me?" It's like, so I think it's this weird concept that I don't explain very well of like, it's not about me saying like, "Well, that ad's obviously AI." It's me watching an ad and being like, "That was entertaining. That was funny. That was well done. I enjoyed that." Period. It doesn't matter if it's AI or not. It matters if you create good content. And I think there's this like romanticization of like how people look at some of this stuff where it's like people get mad about AI artists. It's like, if they create something beautiful that I like, then they create something beautiful that I like, a beautiful video, a beautiful shot, a picture, a beautiful song. Like, if it's created through AI, it's created through AI. Like, and that's fine. It's just, to me, it's like, what is the content that came out? Like, and I think people sometimes romanticize these things of how it's distributed. People got mad when I saw a post at one point. It might have been from DC Investor or someone. I saved it down. I'm going to post it again at some point. Because I thought it was really interesting that like when photography was coming out, painters were like, "What is this shit? What about painters and the discipline?" Again, it's like it's not about that. It's about there's value to a painting. You can really enjoy that, and there's value to a picture.
So I went to film school. I know I wasted my college career going to film school, but it turned out
it's not surprising. I actually had you pinned as a film school kind of guy.
Is that an insult?
You said it, not me.
But I went to film school, and then I got out. I'm like, man, I wasted my 4 years. What a fucking waste. And now I'm doing AI, and everything I learned about film school, everything I learned in film school is super applied here. because the funniest thing is making good AI content is actually not easy. So this is the thing where artists get all freaked out. It's like, oh, AI is going to replace. I'm like, no. Like, you have to use 7 different softwares with $1,000 minimum fee. And not only that, you still need to know shot composition. You need to make a shot list. You need to know camera angles and camera movements. You need to know what lighting you want to use. Like, all right, so you still need to know like, for example, what is 3-point lighting? You actually have to tell the AI that you want 3-point lighting. It's not like the AI, you don't say, I want a music video, and then it spits out a fucking Drake level music. It just doesn't work that way. It's basically an evolution of Photoshop with moving images. So you still have to learn how to use Photoshop, even if there's an AI tool that makes it faster. So like, that music video wasn't just a prompt. That took 4 days of generating like hundreds of images and frames, having a lookbook of what we wanted in each frame, recompiling each image to make sure it looked as close to the actual figure as possible. We use 6 different softwares. Like, this is not accessible to a normal person unless they really believe in the craft and they actually understand the logic of making content.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's where, and this is where, like, again, like, I think we're having this convergence. Like, hearing you say that about film school, things that I know to be true about writing and creation of content in general. Like, these things do become valuable down the line when you're actually creating things. Like, I actually have a music background. Like, I was a, relatively decorated trumpet player in high school, which is a weird thing to say out loud, but it's, it is what it is, right? Like, but I was very involved with that. I can pick up pretty much any musical instrument and figure out how to play it in a short period of time. I write music on piano by ear. Like, I'm a relatively musical person. Well, guess what? When I'm doing jingles or music or creating things from AI, I have a more trained ear to listen for the way the snare comes through in the background, or the different types of, maybe we use a clav there to do something different. Like, I have a different type of trained ear than somebody who just says, AI, create me a sick beat. Now, might somebody still do that? Sure. But like, vibe music, vibe coding, vibe videos, like, the talent behind the person controlling it matters. And that's why we always, like, I know it's the cliche thing that we always say, but it's like, AI doesn't take your job. Somebody using AI does, because they know what they're doing. It doesn't change specialists. Like, a person who works for an NFL team using AI to help dissect defenses and do a better job, on programming their offense, is not going to be a person who doesn't understand football, who's just doesn't know what a snap is. It's going to be somebody who deeply understands football, who then enhances the use of the AI. So, I don't know, just digression there, but it was funny because when the video came up yesterday, and I thought it was really well done, and I showed my wife, and we're like, cool. And like, he's like 7 seconds in, my son's like, is that AI? Is that whole thing AI? And we're like, yeah. He's like, the music and everything. We're like, yeah. It's just, he's very tuned to it. And I think that's the other thing, is that the same way I think our generation is closer, from me being a millennial, is better at spotting bullshit from, scams and texts and emails and things than, say, my parents are. I think the next generation is going to be better at AI. And I think people just fail to realize that generations train themselves on the last level of bullshit, and they become more aware of those sort of things. So, yeah, totally agree with that. Cap, I know you had a couple other things you want to hit on before we close it down. And actually, I'm supposed to meet, I forgot, friends for breakfast at 10:30. So I probably need to get out of here soon.
I'll be rapid fire. Actually, I have a few more than the 2. I pinned one up top, 2 up top. One, GG to Billy. Billy's been crushing the MLB streets. I hold tokens. I think Steve does as well. So that's our disclaimer there. But big day, up 27% on the day, and just crushing MLB. I'm going to come back to MLB here just in a second. ICO Beast, interesting post up top. We've been talking about these content coins, and is it good or bad for base? It is extra volume, is short-term chasing volume, chasing metrics. Can it be bad for the chain? ICOB says, so basically the only thing I've noticed different on base since the stupid coin everything crusade started is now that half the time my transactions don't go through or confirm. Great job. Again, I'm not going to comment any additional on that. Go play the Mega ETH game. One of the, you can test on Mega ETH. One of those other chains you can test on may or may not be base. Like, as others, leapfrog base on the tech standpoint and build a better L2. We already talked about how Solana has become the leading L2. Like, I do believe they're not thinking through the potential downstream ramifications of their short-term actions here. But again, that's we've I think litigated that enough today. The only thing else I had, again, the game is also linked up top. It's a Friday. The recap's coming out today in the newsletter. If you've not yet subbed, hit up coffeewithcaptain.com, drop your newsletter in there. We won't spam you. Get one newsletter a week, maybe a one-off bonus every once in a while with something special for all of you. We do have some fun stuff planned. Can't speak to it yet. Pen has not went to paper, but there will be some future user perks in that StreamYard. Come hell or high water, but we think something probably here in the near future. Go get set up today, and then hit hook our producer Payne up with some love by clicking through when you get that thing in your inbox this afternoon. And then I said I would. Well, one more piece of news to talk about Monday. Pump Swap is about to become the leading DEX in the Solana ecosystem. It's surpassing their volume or nearly surpassing their volume from their flagship launcher. So I think that's noteworthy, probably something to dig into next week, Steve. And then on the baseball front, special treat for those of you that might be listening in from Chicago or Colorado. If I lived in either city, I would be on StubHub right now buying a ticket to these games. Running bad in the DFS and underdog streets because the Cubs game is an afternoon game. It's not on the main slate. If so, it would be an electric slate to gamble on today. I kid you not. It's 80 degrees in Chicago, which is good for baseball. The warmer it gets, the balls fly better. It's 80 degrees, and they have 40-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. They might score 20 runs today in Chicago. It's going to be Dinger City in Wrigley Field. And then in Colorado, it's going to be a snow game. Snow accumulated on the grounds. It might be another inch of snow during the game. So where the dingers normally occur in Colorado due to the altitude, probably going to be repressed quite a bit today in the freezing cold weather in Colorado. And in Chicago, it is stack all the bats if you are playing afternoon baseball. But, truly fun games. Congrats to Billy for crushing baseball. I used to think baseball was hard. I do believe it is one of the more beatable, predictable games in the realm of predictive games of skill in betting. And I took a lot of victory laps. I'm still doing well on underdog, but I do have to share an L because if you do start playing baseball, you have to consider weather. It is maybe more variable than any other sport. Like games will get canceled and you're dead. Like I had my worst day last week. It was a beautiful day out here and I was walking around, not even really paying attention. Part of my process is checking the weather. Did not check it that day. Stacked the Yankees. Game gets, they ended up getting an official game in, but only after 5 innings, and all those lineups were drawing dead basically. So if you do, whether you're betting or you're playing DFS or underdog, make sure you're in tune with the weather. Probably fade games that have even a chance of getting postponed or rain out, but stack the ones where you have 40-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. Going to be a lot of fun.
Should be fun. Dingers only is a fun one to watch.
Good Friday in Chicago.
Gonna be
Happy Good Friday, all those celebrate. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully some people get some family time this weekend, and we'll be back Monday.
Yeah, one of my favorite tweets, I don't know if it's Greg or whatever, from where someone, it's one of the funny consistent posters is like it's like two people, it's like Jesus having a conversation with a normal person. It's like, Jesus, so you guys like take off the day right before I was killed or the day that I was killed, like you actually make that a holiday? And the person says, yeah, man, everybody gets it off. And he's like, and you celebrate? He's like, yeah. And Jesus is like, what do you call it? And then there's like this ... And the person's like, Bad Friday. Anyway, by the way, speaking of AI, if you haven't, this is a whole different one. Again, just because you mentioned Good Friday and it's Easter, there is a AI Jesus on a podcast, which is one of the funniest AIs I've seen if you like that sort of humor. So recommend checking that out. I won't butcher it or spoil the ending or what it's about, but it's like Jesus talking about his favorite movie. And it's just funny. He's talking like a typical podcast guest. But that said, I've got about 13 minutes to get to my destination, which is probably about only 5 minutes away. So we got time to wrap here, but we'll send everybody off in their weekend.
Make sure you head over to the abstract chat before you sign off. You got your favorite comparison of all time.
Oh, I saw. It doesn't bug me. It's just, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, Mesh is Steve, actually Ben Shapiro, similar look, similar voice, both streamers. Ben's dad was musically trained. Steve's musically trained. I'm barely musically trained, actually, by the way. The trumpet's all of musically trained on, everything else is by ear. But yeah, like I get the comparison. I get it. We both got jet black hair. We're both quick talkers who sound like we've drank too much coffee. It happens. But No. I mesh. No apologies necessary. Does not bother me. Trust me. I've gotten plenty of comparisons over my lifetime to that one. So not a bug thing. I wish I was that smart. I am not. He's actually trained through his brain. I am not. So we'll send everybody off into their weekend. But thanks everyone who came through, especially those who supported ApeCon yesterday. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone who stuck with us through this Friday. We'll talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning, or should say bright and early Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.